Hello and welcome to the Tuesday, September 23rd meeting of the Ayer Planning Board. This meeting hearing of the Ayer Planning Board will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom meeting ID 978-772-8220 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Danny Ruiz, Town Planner at ruiz@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220 extension 144 prior to the meeting. Do I have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
So on the agenda, there is a set under 12 Willow Road. It says requesting a continuance to the October 7th meeting.
Yes.
It's actually supposed to be the October 14th meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, we don't meet the 7th.
We don't meet the 7th. That was my mistake.
Oh, we don't?
No.
Okay.
That's the first Tuesday.
Oh, okay. All right. Any other comments? Hearing none. Ken? How do you vote?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
Julie?
Yes.
And the chair votes aye. It is approved. Danny, you have some comments about the audio and the microphones in the room?
Yes, I just wanted to let everyone know that we do have new audio mics here. There's one right under the TVs, and then there's one up here. So if you are speaking in the audience, it will get picked up. So please
Don't
just
talk about me, Faith.
no, just please try to keep it to a minimum so that when the recording is done, because with these new ones, they do pick up very well.
Okay, great.
Interesting.
So the first item on the agenda is a public hearing for 12 Willow Road, and I understand that they've requested a continuance to October 14th.
That is correct.
All right.
So, and just so that the board understands, so they there were some additional comments that were brought in from DEP. They also requested a continuance from the Conservation Commission to their next meeting so that they could review those comments and try to address those. So we're kind of in a wait and see until they have addressed those comments before they'll come back to us. They still also have to revise plans based on our comments from the department head comments. So for right now, they're waiting until the 14th.
Okay, great. So I'll make a motion for a continuance of the public hearing for 12 Willow Road, map 23, parcel 26, to our October 14th planning board meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none.
Aye.
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Julie?
Yes.
Chair votes aye. It is continued. Next item is the continued public hearing for 0 Winthrop Avenue, the VOA parking lot. Danny, can you take us through what we can do this evening?
Yes. So there is. I don't know what just happened there. We have a draft decision that was put in play. That was done. It's up on the website. It was sent to the applicant. It was sent to the department heads for comments. And so from the comments that were brought up from the applicant, they were very minor, more just clerical. So we can go through the actual draft decision.
Okay. And what would be a place to start? Would it start with reading the findings out?
Yes, let me just actually pull up the Word document so that I can work as we're going. All right, so this is the site plan approval document. The first page is our typical information. It just shows the updated plan. So we can go to number 1. That's our site plan approval, which when we make our motion,
That'll be the motion.
Makes the motion. So that's the motion. There's our general conditions 1 through 36, and there's 4 special conditions that were put into this.
Okay.
Materials is everything that's been submitted to us, like we typically do. Findings. So these are all of our typical findings. There is one that I did put in at the end, which was number 5. The applicant agreed to have delivery truck use.
Plural
Agreed,
trucks.
Use
Here, you got it, right?
trucks.
Trucks plural.
It's just
agreed to
trucks.
have all delivery trucks use High Street to reduce. Actually, no, this did not update. Nope, that did not update the. There's a comment that I. 1 second. Let me just.
It's okay.
No, there was a comment from the applicant that I
Oh.
had updated that it seems it did not save. Just 1 second. So it should state. I don't know why it didn't save, but. Okay, so the new wording should say the applicant agrees to install signage directing to delivery trucks to use High Street to reduce traffic on Webster Ave.
Everyone get that?
I see it right there.
Okay, great.
So
Excellent.
you can print this page, obviously, again, with that change.
Yeah, so I'm going to, so as I'm going, the draft as we
Okay,
go,
tweak it.
whatever changes we're going, I'm gonna do the draft like I typically do, and then the final document will get signed by Jonathan.
Just let me know when they come in.
Yep.
Okay. So do we have to read all the findings now? That would be, so the one significant finding that's different is number 5 that you just read.
Yep.
General conditions are our usual general conditions, but we have on page 7 4 special conditions.
Yes, so our general
No,
conditions.
6, I'm sorry.
Our general conditions are what we have in every decision. So I don't know, if the
Hey,
board
I'll-
wants to go through anything, I don't.
I was going to read the special conditions into the
Yep, let's
record.
do
So the
those.
special conditions, the first is the applicant and or owner shall submit an A&R plan showing the division of land into parcel A1 and A2 to the planning board prior to the pre-construction meeting. 2, the proper signage clearly stating the proposed parking lot shall be used for employee parking. 3, the parking spaces along High Street shall be removed and properly striped and labeled as a loading zone for the VOA. 4, the applicant will review who owns the strip of landscaping on the retaining wall along the Webster Avenue across from the VOA main entrance and clean it up if it is owned by the VOA. 5, the applicant shall conduct a test pit within the proposed bioretention area and witnessed by the town engineer. And finally, number 6, the applicant shall revise the plans to show a forebay for the bioretention area.
So, I just caught that I forgot I did add additional conditions in there.
Oh, okay.
And so those are 1 through 6. There we go. So on the special conditions, does the board have any comments on those?
Yeah, this is for the board. Nathan?
Nope.
So you said, what did you just say about the conditions you had added?
Yeah, so I forgot that I'd added number 5 and number 6 as well. And so these came out of the, so on these were comments that Jim Thorne had put in his peer review for the Lincoln Hill project, but technically since the VOA project is not under the purview of that peer review, what I did was I had those comments put under Matt's DPW letter. Those were given to us, and those were conditions that I put into this one.
Okay, but it is printed on what we have, so
Yep.
it's fine.
Yes.
Great. Are we ready for the just discussion? Ask the board first. Any other comments about this site plan approval decision?
Yes.
I have one.
Yes,
Just
Nathan.
want to review the after occupancy,
yeah,
just
sure.
ahead of this.
Yes.
Would you mind reading that, Danny?
So this, after occupancy, the applicant or future owner shall have the responsibility of maintaining or replacing the parking area, landscaping, stormwater, septic system, signage, and lighting as indicated in the plan, or shall be required to properly implement the operation and maintenance plan. There's some things that are in there that are not included in this, but it's our typical language. So that's why, like septic system, there's not one, but it's our standard language.
Can you remind me, does this get recorded in the deed or?
Yeah, so this gets recorded at the Registry of Deeds. So whenever you look up the property at the Registry of Deeds, this will pop up.
Thank you.
And that's one of our requirements as one of the conditions.
Okay, great. Good. Any further input from the board? Questions or comments?
I mean, just double check and repeat again. I know you've already done it twice, but for the third time, these 1 through 36, are typically in every site plan approval that we do.
That is correct.
As a board, we're thinking we don't have to address all of those items. But the question always comes up, the applicant has looked at those items and agrees that those 1 through 36 are included.
Yes. So the applicant did review them. There were some comments that came out of it, but they weren't enough that. So I told them that they're general conditions that we just have on every one of them.
Okay.
Like the one that came up to was brought up was the NIPD's permit, and that's why it says if applicable on that one. So it's not a. It's only if it's.
Of such a size that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we kind of do that, is so that if it's applicable, it does apply. If it does not, then it doesn't apply.
Okay. So there's obviously more, and 1 to 36 contains more items that apply to this.
Yes.
Keep
Yes.
them there because it's a good practice.
Yes,
to keep
exactly.
them
For the most part, almost just about every one of those will apply.
Okay.
For the most part. In this project, since it's such a smaller project and only a parking lot, maybe like 75% of them will apply, but they're just there because there's no. For us, it's like for us to remove those and change them again.
Yep.
It's just better to have them in there.
So as a for instance, can you go to 35,
Yes.
which indicates that if it's a building, it would have a certificate of occupancy, but in this case, it has a certificate of completion
Yes.
that's verified by the building commission and the as-built plan and whatnot.
Yeah, so what would happen is once the project has been built, they would submit an as-built plan showing what's been completed to myself and to the building commissioner. We'd review it, and they'd also submit a letter regarding the bioretention area, just saying it was built per plan, and then we would make sure that it's all set. They would. We would most likely do a final site walk to review anything that the board may have, and then at that point, we would issue them a certificate of completion.
Good. Any other comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, I'm going to open it to the public. Wait.
Don't we have to vote on the findings first?
So when you vote on the decision, you're voting on everything within the document.
Okay, thanks.
I'm going to open up to public comment, but going to ask to please respect the length of the agenda and our time. I'm going to hold people to about 3 minutes. I'm going to ask that if a question has been previously answered, that we don't re-bring up the question. You can just say +1 or yes, you agree with that comment, etc. But we have a lot to get through tonight. So public, anyone wish? Lori?
Thank you. Lori Nearing, 35 Highland Avenue in Ayer. My question is regarding the conditions. Do the conditions include the owners of the parking lot being required to sweep and keep clean the parking lot over time? Is that already in one of the mandates?
So during construction, yes. I mean, maintenance. One of the conditions states that their responsibility of maintaining and replacing the parking area. So that's part of maintenance.
I'm going beyond the problem with cracks or fractures over time. I'm concerned about sediment and oils and things like that getting into the parking lot and flowing downhill and causing other problems. So it's my understanding that we should be asking them to sweep on a regular basis.
That's outside of the planning board's purview. We can't condition that. There's a maintenance that they have to do. Like there's plenty of projects that have parking lots that we can't require them to sweep at a certain amount of times. It's an operation and maintenance plan that's set forth they have to follow.
Okay. I would like to make an official note that the proponent or the VOA is not apparently represented in this room. It would be nice if they would step forward and say they would be willing to do that to help take care of the property.
So just on that, Claire, so the applicants are Lincoln Developers LLC, and they have the authority from the VOA to be represented by them.
And it still would be helpful if they were here, and I think they should be. My second question has to do with, we talked about which plants they're using in the bioretention area last meeting, and I did not see a listing of what plants.
It's on the plans.
It's stated on the plans, and have they been approved, reviewed and approved by?
Heather and Matt both reviewed it prior to the last meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
Hello, Faith Salter, 10 Winthrop. What you were just talking about with the access for the trucks, it said that they had to go on High Street, and from where on High Street? I'm just aware when the film crew was in the neighborhood recently and there's cars parked on both sides, you can't get up High Street, William Street with trucks, because cars park on both sides of the road. So are you talking about High Street on the south side of the building, not the whole High Street? Or?
Yeah, no, so it's,
Okay.
it's outside of where.
Are they going to require the trucks to go up
Yeah, so-
Columbia and then
No, no,
Williams
no.
and up with like the buses can't even get down that.
Yeah, let me show you.
Okay, I would
It's-
appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah, it's right here. Let me just show. So it's down here where they're striping. Where they're getting rid of the parking area, and they're gonna make this a loading zone.
All right. Okay. So when you said the trucks aren't going to go down Webster, they're going to go down High. That's not for the paving and.
No, it's for loading. This is for
Oh, for the
VOA.
trucks after. Okay, sorry. I'm on the wrong timeline. I'm sorry.
Oh, understand.
I thought you meant like the construction trucks and that they were
No.
going to be required to go up High Street, and I was like, ooh.
Oh no. That we'll be talking about under the Lincoln Hill project.
Beg your pardon.
Do we need to mention that here? Because that had brought up my radar for that, because that was my request. Is that anything we have to say on this one too? Because the same thing will be.
There will be trucks.
There will be trucks. Is it worth, or it all just kind of goes under one conversation?
Same place.
Same place. Okay. So
Same.
It's gonna be the same discussion.
Bill agreed to. So it's gonna be the same as the Lincoln Hill project.
Highland.
Hi. Yes, it'll be.
Okay,
Highlands.
thank you.
It's on the agenda.
Yep. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Not fresh.
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
I did not catch that.
Laurie Sable, 1 Winthrop Ave. Related to what Faith just brought up, but different, is I think you said that during the construction process, the trucks are going to go up High Street.
No, so
Not at all?
we haven't talked about that.
Okay,
That
okay,
it'll be so
Fine.
it's going to be discussed during the Lincoln Hill project, but basically, so we'll talk about it at that
Okay.
point.
my concern was in back of the VOA from High to Webster, it's nice now, and that'll probably be torn up, I would imagine, by trucks.
So they're not going to be going down High Street.
Got it,
That's
got it. How long will this project take?
The VOA parking lot.
Yeah,
And one of their requirements is to provide a construction schedule prior to site work, which is what we typically request. So as of right now, I don't know. It would depend. The applicant would put together the construction schedule that is detailed for us before we start anything construction-wise.
but you'll approve it before you see the construction schedule?
No, so the project is approved, but the construction schedule I will review with Matt and Heather and the other department heads before site work commences, which is what we typically do. Because at this level, construction schedules aren't, because they have to meet with contractors, all of that information,
Right.
that gets done later.
Right, but I don't mean when it's gonna start, I mean the duration of it.
Yeah, that's
We don't
typically
even-
done.
You just want an estimate, is that what you're
Yeah.
asking about?
Yeah, just curious, 3 weeks?
Yeah, I would say 3 to 4 weeks.
3 to 4 weeks is what the applicant is saying. When we get the construction schedule,
Okay,
I'll be able. I can send it over to you when we have that.
okay. You're probably going to stop me, but I'm going to start, and if you want to stop me, go right ahead. I don't find that there's a mass state law about cars not being allowed to back out onto
No,
public roads.
that's not a mass state law. It's a town concern.
Concern or bylaw?
It's not a bylaw. It's a town concern.
Concern, okay. I thought you had said that it was a law from some entity. I don't remember you saying what entity that was. Okay.
No, that's a concern from the town. That's why with Webster Ave, when you ask that, we can't govern what happens on a private way. We can on public roads. And that's our concern is when it comes out is backing into a public way with where oncoming traffic from both sides. That's why we didn't like that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone on Zoom? And while we're waiting, Nathan?
Can I say something, Mr. Chair, about
Yeah.
the question? Is the permit not issued until you've reviewed the schedule?
No, so the way our typical work is, so the permit, when you guys approve it tonight, Jonathan will then come in, sign it. It gets put into the town clerk. From the town clerk, at that point, there's a 20-day appeal period. So once the appeal period is done, the permit is live, as we would say.
Okay.
And then at that point, the conditions of prior to site work, they can't commence anything until they've satisfied all of those conditions. So if at that point, part of that is a pre-construction meeting, the construction schedule, those things, we would review it prior to any site work commencing.
Okay. So the conditions, it's part of a process. It's not, there isn't a paperwork or a delineating submission tied to different levels of approval.
No. So it's once the board approves it, the construction schedule that is more internally approved stuff.
Do we have anyone on Zoom?
Yes, Pauline.
Good evening and thank you, Mr. Chair and Danny. I just want to follow up on something I think I heard correctly, Danny, in response to Lori Nearing's question. You said you have correspondence from VOA regarding the parking lot,
What I stated,
approving it or whatever the proper term would be.
What I stated was the applicant has the authority on behalf of the VOA to represent them here.
And is there correspondence on which the VOA has been or has signed off on the changes to their parking facilities?
So the applicant is representing them. So yes, if the applicant is making the changes, then they are on behalf of them approving it.
So they've discussed it with Neshoba Park, or VOA, I'm sorry.
Yes.
All right, and is that document on the ongoing projects link?
Yes, I can pull it up and show you right here. So
Nope, you don't need to do that, I can find it, I just want to be sure it's there.
yeah, it's called Property Owner Authorization Letter.
Thank you so much, I appreciate that.
Yes.
Anyone else on that?
There was another. Oh, nope, that was Pauline's. Nope, that's it.
All right, then I will make a motion for approval of the site plan.
So if you, number 2.
Yep,
Number,
which is,
on the next page.
okay. Motion to approve the site plan pursuant to subsection 320-3.5, site plan review of the Ayer zoning bylaw, subject to the standard conditions 1 through 36, and special condition number 1 through 4 in this decision.
1 through 6.
1 through 6 in this decision, and presented at this meeting for the project 0 Winthrop Avenue, AKA VOA parking lot.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Nathan.
Special conditions, plural, please.
And special conditions, plural.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Nathan, Ken, how do you vote?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Julie?
Yes.
Chair votes aye. It is approved.
And then closing the public hearing.
And I move that we close the public hearing for 0 Winthrop Avenue.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Ken?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
Julie?
Yes.
Chair votes aye. It's closed. Next item on our agenda is, of course, 0 High Street and 38 Harvard Road, Lincoln Hills. Danny, you want to lead us through what we're going to be doing tonight?
The agenda. So for tonight's topics, we do have Jim Thorne from Green International on as well. So we'll be getting to the stormwater peer review. So the first thing we have on is what I wanted to bring up was determination from the board on sufficient information regarding past topics. So I wanted to have the board, kind of talk about whether they've received enough information to this point regarding past topics that we've already discussed since, so starting in March to till now, to make a informed decision and a defensible decision.
Yes, because I want to explain to everyone that discussion continues until board members feel that they have acquired enough information to satisfy regulations, laws, and bylaws, and that they have enough to make an informed they're informed enough to make a reasonable defensible decision. The answer for me is yes. On the topics we've talked about in the past, including traffic, blasting, what else?
Landscaping,
Lighting. I feel that we have been satisfactorily.
The overall site plan
Yeah.
comments from DPW, myself, Heather, other town departments.
Yeah, I'm good.
Me?
Yeah, Ken, Nathan, Julie.
So I think I would like to take another look at the phasing, get a better explanation from the applicant on the phasing. A little concerned about that the listing of the phasing was not complete. So I'd like more on that, so that's my thought.
Short of these last 4, traffic, open space, the CR for sure. I just like to have a little better understanding of who's going to hold the CR, if we know that. And
We wouldn't go into that, right? We're gonna,
no, but short of those,
Short of these.
short of those last the 4 topics listed, yes, I have sufficient information.
oh, okay.
That's exactly what I was thinking. So, I'm
So-
the same as Nathan.
Let's address the phasing then.
Yeah, that's for the board to.
Would you like to address the phasing?
Sure.
Yes. Can we ask the applicant to approach?
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we actually have been doing,
Oh, you know what? You know, the usual name is
Oh.
for people.
Janet Field, on behalf of Lincoln Developers, Ian Rubin, engineer, and Michael Field. So we have been in depth meetings with Onyx, the site contractor, to try to nail down the phasing. So what we're trying to just make sure that we're doing it the most efficient in terms of speed and impact to the surrounding areas, including like the location within the site of where the crushing is going to happen. So the way that we're planning to do it is to do the entrance going around that corner to the circle first, and do you mind if I go up and point?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's where the majority of the blasting is, starting right where the house is.
So this area in here would
Is
be
the
a
low-
staging area.
And that's the lowest point.
And so that's where we could set up, so as they come in here and
Blast,
blast,
process the
they can
material.
process here, and then, fill in along here. So this will be first, coming in this way, and this, the road will be rough graded in order for to make ease of equipment and stuff to get back and forth to these 2 areas. So this Nicholas Lane would be the last
Last.
part to get finished.
Ken, what
That's not
other?
in depth enough, so
No.
what I'm getting at is, you're gonna build a retention system first, you're gonna put the retaining walls in.
Yes,
the stuff like that.
those kind of things that the Caltech system, working from the bottom up to get to the sewer and get that, because that all has to get connected prior to even if we did partial phasing on asphalt and say Nicholas Lane is done last, all the infrastructure has to be done on that prior to starting foundations on the other. So it has to be about 75% done before we can start building houses anyway. Just because of the sewer has to go down to the bottom.
I don't have,
So
what I'm trying to get at is have,
retention ponds first.
the drawing does not, ES does not indicate the whole sequence. He is gonna have to redo that. Either amend it, give us a list or something.
I think we should have a separate list, like kind of what Danny talked about when we're meeting with the site contractor, because they're the ones that are really gonna nail down. Obviously, the first thing that's gonna happen is an erosion control. Like, so that's, nothing happens before. Well, actually, we met with, on Monday morning, we met with Kevin from Ross and Associates. Talked to him, brought him up to date on the project, how everything's been going, because we hadn't really had a good sit down with him in a while. And he is lined up to go out on site and do some staking. He's going to start with the parking lot. And we talked about, how clearly what areas he's going to stake and that kind of thing, so that we can be ready to put up the erosion control. And I don't know who, but whoever wants to take a site walk out can look at the stakes even before we, can kind of look at the limit of work before we put up the erosion control. Without trying to take up too much of your time, and then trees, and so it'll be very, very specific. But if you could let us help have the site contractor who's going to be doing the majority of the work, like, we can write out something super detailed.
We can condition it that the construction sequencing plan,
Construction phasing.
yeah, whatever you want to call it. We can condition it in as prior to site work, where Matt, Dan, myself, Heather, we all sit and we meet with them, with the applicant and their contractor before anything happens, before any site work happens. Erosion control obviously would go in, and then we would do that. We would have that meeting, and then we would have a pre-construction meeting on site.
Okay, so it's evident that you have to install the drainage, the sewer, the water from the Groton Harvard Road to High Street.
Yep.
Before you can even start anything else.
Right.
As far as, the paving and whatever, bring the road up to grade, the whole works that you have to do. And that's not evident in what's on the drawings, is when I'm getting at that little sequence that he's got down there. So as long as we get that modified, we can look at it, double check it. I think we're all concerned that the limit of work be identified correctly and marked off, and everybody stays within that limit of work.
Yes.
And then when clearing comes and stumping and things like that, which is extensive, that there's no question about where things are, how they get stockpiled, where they get left over, that narrow strip, how it gets cleared.
Yeah. And actually,
we haven't even talked about Groton Harvard Road at all. Details, working in that area, how you're gonna get off and on the Groton Harvard Road.
So one of the conditions from Matt was a traffic management plan,
Okay, good.
and that's
But we haven't talked about it before.
You mean police details?
no. For
I don't know. I'd have to talk with police chief about that. But that's typically done with the contractor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Onyx may carry it.
Right.
He may carry it.
Yeah,
They carry that.
But it's evident that the project has to be built
there is,
from both directions is what I'm getting at, the sequence.
Yep.
But just as a reminder, remember, a lot of this information is stuff that happens
On the
post approval, because now you have the contractor, you have everyone set up and hired. Then there's that meeting where they figure out all that stuff.
But based on the level of concern, I think we all would like to be.
Yes, no. I 100% agree with you, which is why a condition is, it's definitely, I know Matt had one about the traffic management plan, which is important as well. It's like, so the construction sequencing we can add as a condition as well, to make sure that all these things occur prior to any site work occurring.
One of my concerns is the timing of the retaining wall and the design of the retaining wall by a structural engineer and all that has to go with that. Because I think the retaining wall actually represents a protection. It's kind of a dam. By backfilling, compacting, and getting that to grade, you offset the chance of any runoff and whatnot that might happen as well. So I'm interested in that sequence of when that comes in and when Onyx wants to do that. In other words, I don't think it should happen later, I think it should happen earlier.
Okay, we can talk to
Yeah.
him about that.
No,
We can
yeah,
absolutely get there.
I mean,
So that creates a, a definite strength in the site.
Yep.
It requires the engineering and the technique,
I
which
think
they're
I think
capable
they're
of.
just
Obviously, they're really good.
Are they 5 feet?
Yeah, so it's
Yes.
structural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do require
Yeah.
structural engineer.
And a building permit.
We know all that, yeah, but it's important for the, if we have to review that structural engineer and that design, I'm not sure if Matt would do it or your department would do it or what, but
So it would go through.
once it's stamped by them, I guess it's as good as gold, but,
Yeah, it would go through. It's a building permit process,
right,
but
exactly, they're
would
gonna pull a
also-
permit.
Matt would also review it as well.
Right, the building commissioner would be involved, so.
Yes. Oh, yes.
We haven't talked about that step before, I don't think, so I just wanted to kind of talk about that in the sequence. So that's some of the concerns I have, but I'd be happy to see the final construction phasing and sequence to go through some deep thought here with you guys so we are all on board with what that, and everyone likes it. So that's my thought,
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Chair, through you.
Thank you, Ken. Good. All right, let's talk about the traffic route for construction vehicles.
Yes.
So
So
that's all we had on going back.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think there was any other.
No, Nathan, Julie, and I didn't have anything.
Actually, let's talk about the well, yeah, the traffic is, yeah, let's do the traffic.
So
Find.
the issue on the table is whether or not the board feels they have sufficient information. So I'm not taking public input on this particular issue. Thank you.
Let me just get maybe the GIS will be better for this one.
While Danny's looking that up, could I just ask one question? When I was doing a recent walk of the woods, I noticed that there are a lot of recently downed trees. So I wonder if it wouldn't be a good idea to get Danny, Heather, or somebody out there just to kind of take some photographs. And, I know everybody's very sensitive to making sure the open space is protected, and there's some trees that are just up with the roots up out of the ground, and I don't want to be responsible for thinking,
Yeah.
oh, look what they've done.
Yeah, no, Heather and I can go.
Okay, yeah, there's several, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's several just,
we can definitely do that. So, in terms of the traffic route for construction, so I've been thinking about this to make sure that there is the minimal amount of impact on these neighborhoods, and based on the easiest route to avoid these trucks going up these tight roads, it would be going up Washington Street.
Yep.
And then they would go down Highland Ave and come down here to down Winthrop Winthrop, and then come into the construction site this way. That avoids any construction vehicles trying to traverse these tight roads down here, like Cambridge and Williams and Holmes and High Street, especially High Street, because if you look at that, I mean, there's that low point, and then to making it up that hill, it's not going to be an easy thing to do, even, say it's raining or slick out, snow, whatever. We want to make sure that there's not going to be any concern with that. So what we've been thinking is having them go up Washington, down Highland Ave, down Winthrop, and then come into the construction site that way.
Yeah, absolutely no objections.
So we have the ability to condition it in our approval?
Yeah.
Then what do you do for enforcement?
So what happens is if a vehicle goes a different route, at that point, they call me or the DPW. At that point, we would contact the applicant, make sure that there's no, that doesn't happen again. And then after that, there's either cease and desist, fines, and,
Yeah, and we'll have conversations, sit down, make sure all the truck drivers get the memo. I mean, even, when it comes to building the houses, we'll have more lumber, have a sit down with all their drivers and make sure that they understand. So even when it comes to the smaller things, we'll make sure that,
Because so typically the enforcement comes from the building department. Because at this point, once it's approved,
It's a condition.
well, because what happens is because this goes to Mike as the building commissioner. He's now the enforcement because he's zoning enforcement officer. Everything comes to me as if anyone has a complaint, I will look at the conditions, make sure that if there's an issue, they get addressed. I bring it to Mike and say, all right, this is the recourse for right now. We've spoken to them. They say it's not going to happen again. If there's another one, then Mike can say it's up to Mike to at that point to say, is it a fine or is it a cease and desist until he's sure that it won't happen again.
I mean, I don't want to convolute things, but maybe could there be temporary signage?
Yeah.
We
I
can
mean,
talk
if you
about
guys
temporary
want,
signage. I think
so
Congress
that,
has
Onyx has plenty of truck route.
truck.
and so that could probably be part of the traffic management plan that Matt was requiring as a condition. So as part of that, you could talk about, these are the steps you're going to take as part of that.
Okay.
So I'll open to the board first. Yes, Nathan?
So for clarity, then Danny, will you give us language as a special condition describing what you just said, street,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll be it for the special condition. I presume then we'll look really kindly on all of Matt's recommendations for special conditions, and then there will be basically on this topic a second special condition that says traffic management plan shall be submitted.
So kind of like what we did with Stratton Hill, how there was our decision, and then there was a separate document that we did for special conditions that traffic. These were the traffic conditions, stormwater. These are the stormwater conditions, and that's what we'll make sure that all of those are listed in there.
Good.
Anyone else? Yep.
So I happened to take a ride up Highland today because I figured this was going to come up, and that street needs repair. So how do we get that done before the job starts so that and then take a review of the condition, so if and when it gets damaged by trucks, they're responsible for the later repairs, but they're not responsible for fixing it right now.
I'll ask Matt to come up for that one.
Winthrop also.
Yes, the exact route we would.
Thank you.
Yeah, can you see that share? Thank you.
Hey, Matt.
Evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, Highland Ave is on a Public Works list of high priority streets for.
Microphone closer, please.
Thank you. Highland Ave is high up on the list of streets needing resurfacing, same as Williams and Holmes. Those are likely going to happen in the next couple of years. Unfortunately, I can't put a definitive date on it today.
So do you think we could maybe take pictures of the existing way to make sure we have a record of what it currently looks like?
Yes.
And then once construction starts, if post-construction's done, there's more wear and tear that was occurred. There's ways that we can either maybe there's monetary, maybe it's they fix the cracks. We can kind of there's a condition to at least address those concerns. That's what I guess Ken's looking for.
I think that's a great idea, and I know past projects that Wright Road, for example, similar conditions. So I think that's a good idea to at least have the road held up until the road is eventually resurfaced as it needs. Unfortunately, I don't have a date on it, but
Yeah.
it will happen in the next couple of years.
Okay.
It looks to me like it needs patching right now in some places. Couldn't we just do some patching? I know you're not in charge, but seems to me that we should at least patch it so that it's acceptable at the beginning, and then when it gets torn up by the trucks, it's another story. But patching needs to be. There'll be a problem.
I understand.
There'll definitely be a problem.
I just don't know. I mean, Dan would have to put in. There would be input that Dan would have to make Dan would have to make that determination, right?
Someone has to make a determination. But
Yep.
I can predict that if we don't fix it now, they'll be thinking that was torn up during construction.
Well, that's why I said we
photograph of what it is.
Okay.
the current conditions,
So
so we know what the impact was.
that's my concern. I think it's valid, and we can go from there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else on the board? Comments on the traffic route?
I'm just really grateful for the discussion. I've had a few conversations with residents of those streets
Okay,
in
great.
the past week, and that was they were very grateful that I thought confidently you guys would be amenable to that.
So I'm going to open up for public input on traffic route for construction vehicles. Yes, Lori?
Yeah, the chief.
Oh, I didn't see you, Chief.
Not in public input. Hi there, we were talking about the traffic in
Traffic
detail
route.
tonight.
Yes.
So the one thing I just would like, since we're gonna be dealing with heavy trucks, I would like to, we have a bylaw on the books right now that talks about engine brakes in the trucks. And where we're dealing with hills and large trucks, I would like there to be a heavy conversation and insistence that no air brakes be used through the.
No
Jake
engine
brakes.
brakes.
Yeah, the Jake brakes.
They're engine brakes. Jake brakes is a brand.
Oh,
So they're.
Look at
that. So if we can just make sure that that's enforced,
We can make that-
especially going up and down the hills.
we can make that part of a condition.
Perfect.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Lori?
Thank you. Laurie Sable, 1 Winthrop Avenue. I don't want to pick nits, but Matt didn't mention Winthrop in that list of other streets that you mentioned. And it's one of the worst offenders as far as potholes. So I assume it will be included also in the list of streets that will be
Photographed and documented.
and repaved,
Well, the town.
repaired.
So what Matt said was currently those are on the list of the town's list of things
Yes,
that need to be done.
I understand.
In terms of, I can't speak for what the DPW has for their list. They determine it based on a whole bunch of criteria.
Okay. Is there, maybe because there are fewer houses on Winthrop, that could be one of the reasons, but is there concern that there might be damage done to that street that would not be repaired during the DPW repavement project?
Oh, I see your concern. So if anything, so we would take record of what that road looks like, and if there was impacts that occurred, if the Winthrop is not on their list, then the applicant would have to fix that.
Okay, thank you.
I believe Faith wanted to come up. Where,
Well, I did, but I didn't put my hand up yet.
okay. I saw you earlier.
It's just a quick question, Lauren.
Faith Salter, 10 Winthrop, and this is a little bit following up on Chief Gill, which is say I know that the state has laws about idling, and my house is right in Winthrop where trucks will be stopped. I'm sure and I'd like there to be a discussion with them about not idling in front of my house constantly all day long.
Yes. One of our conditions is no idling. We have a no idling condition
Thank
already.
Yes.
Lori, me. I'm getting word from our filmers that you're correcting for our problems, so don't speak so close to the microphone, please.
Do not
Or in
speak
their
so
ears.
close. Okay. Is this acceptable?
I'm sure normal spot is acceptable. You're doing great.
Going in my head.
I know,
so
and I understand you're having trouble with
I'm
many
gonna
of the
try.
problems.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me know if my voice is not loud enough.
I'll watch.
Okay.
Thanks.
So can you give us an idea of how many trucks we're talking about? What is the traffic load going to be like while the construction is going on?
I mean, it's going to ebb and flow. In the beginning, I mean, we're not trucking material
Not
off-site.
trucking material off-site or in for the first, there's gonna be vehicles bringing equipment up. There's gonna be, once the tree cutting gets done, there are gonna be logs getting removed. But then, once that's done, it's very little truck traffic until they start doing
Delivering pipe
and stuff like that. So it's gonna be further down the road.
Okay. I'd like the board to take note that a couple of things. Try it this way. the cracks and the potholes that have already been described get much worse every winter. It's a very serious problem. The snow trucks coming up, the snowplows coming up the road on the steep hillside on both Highland and High Street really struggle. And the snow gets piled on my yard there. And so there are potholes and the pavement gets dug up every winter. So assuming, you're going to start sometime in the winter, if you did, we need to take that into consideration. My suggestion would be that they be asked to repair Winthrop completely because it's going to be really messed up with the heavy trucks. I also want to point out that we have a children's bus stop for the elementary school on Highland Street right next to my house. And there are probably 12 or so kids that cross the road every morning and get off the bus every night. And the drivers need to be aware of that. And I think that should be taken into consideration as well. I would appreciate it if actually the truck driving could be split between going by my house all the time and going up through Winthrop and driving around the other way if there were smaller trucks somehow divided up. That would be my request, my suggestion, but it feels like we're getting hit. Highland is getting hit with all of the traffic, Highland and Winthrop. So I ask that you take that into consideration.
Thank you. Anyone on Zoom?
Can I just
Yeah, yes, I
briefly
can.
say we're having Stratton Hill be built in our neighborhood right now, and we have a lot of bus stops, and that is all happening. And I would just like to say, for now, at least in one development, it's going quite well. The kids are all managing the buses, and the trucks are doing quite nicely. We're coexisting well in the Stratton Hill bus stop here.
Thank you,
So
Julie.
I see good things for you.
Is there anyone on Zoom?
Yes.
Catherine Yates.
Hi, yes, this is my first time attending, so do I have to sit? So I'm Catherine Yates, I'm at 28 Groton, Harvard. If there's any damage to kind of the sidewalks or the beginning part of people's driveways and things like that, is that something that's also addressed with the larger road repairs?
So if the impact from the construction vehicles affect, the sidewalk, I don't know, they shouldn't affect sidewalks, but if there is, and they would have to address those as well.
Okay. Yeah, I just have a community here where construction vehicles, because of the pressure on the road, cracked. The driveway started to crack, so it was related in that way.
Okay. Yeah, they would definitely have to address those as well. So we would also take pictures of Groton Harvard Road while we're at it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Great. Anyone else online?
Don't see anyone else with a hand up.
Great. So the next topic is the open space and conservation restriction. I just want to clarify that this discussion is not about the boundaries or the shape of the open space. It's about the actual disposition, about who's going to take it. And this is I find this a very complicated discussion because, as it turns out, there's two separate issues. There's actual ownership of the land, and then there's ownership of the conservation restriction. So I just put that out there. If you get confused in the conversation about who owns what, join the club, because it can get rather complicated for us as well. But just be aware that there's two different things that have to be, quote, owned: the actual land and then the conservation restriction.
So we're also talking about the updated calculation.
The updated calculation? Okay.
Yes.
Do you
So
want to lead the way on this?
yes. So the applicant provided an updated, revised open space plan. So as you see, there's two yellow areas which are called open space area. Those are going to be the untouched open space. That area meets the requirement of the 50%. The area within the proposed easement area, which is not being considered as part of their 50% requirement, is still going to be considered open space when the conservation restriction goes in place. So it's going to be protected under that conservation restriction, but it's not going towards their 50% allocation as to meeting the requirements, which is what the OSRD guidelines say. You can't count that towards your 50%, but it is part of the open space. I just wanted to make sure that was clarified. So when they put in the CR all of the area within the yellow and this proposed easement will be under that conservation restriction and protected under there. So currently, based on the 2 yellow areas, they do meet the 50%. They're at 50.2%. They also exclude the driveway easement for the Cazares project property up here. And that will not be included as part of the conservation restriction because that is a driveway easement that they use for access for their home. So as of right now, based on the design guidelines, does the board feel they have met the intent of those design guidelines for the open space?
For me, yes. Julie's nodding.
Yeah.
Nathan?
Could you just review this now include the north section there? Is that now the additional
Yes.
property that is
Yes.
with the VOA?
So originally the line stopped I think right here.
Uh-huh.
What happens now is since they've added in that additional parcel, it includes this additional area down here. They've excluded the area that's going to go under that's going to be done on the A&R for the VOA parking lot.
Yeah.
So that's been removed out of the calculation. That's going to end up going to the VOA. The rest of that parcel is now included in the open space.
Okay, and then just to be, from my understanding, you said, Danny, that what is shown in yellow, that's clearly open space. It'll be owned by owned by some entity.
Yep.
And it'll be under conservation restriction. In addition, this what's titled proposed easement area.
Yes.
Will also all of that be owned and under restriction.
Yes.
So really, with the addition of the VOA property and the easement, we're going to be in excess of 50% under restriction.
Yes. Under restriction, yes. But in terms of our requirement of the 50%, they have to meet it without that easement area.
Yeah. Right. So I think it's a benefit to the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't appreciate that before, that proposed easement area will be also restricted.
Yes. Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure that was clarified because I know there was, we kept talking about removing that out of the open spaces. What we were talking about was removing out of the open space calculation, not necessarily the conservation restriction. So the conservation restriction will still protect that.
Are we gonna? Sorry, Mr. Chair. One
No,
more.
it's okay.
Are we going to identify who will hold the CR?
So in discussion with that, so on Thursday, the Conservation Commission will be having a meeting regarding this as to who, whether or not the Conservation Commission wants the land, because that's kind
Meaning
of
the
that's
town-
meaning the town.
Town of Ayer.
That's the first step, is whether or not Conservation Commission wants it. If the Conservation Commission chooses to take it, then at that point the next question is, okay, who's going to monitor it? Because the same entity can't own and monitor the land. Correct, they can't.
Oh, no, would you mind?
Yeah, come on up.
Just what you're saying are two different. What you're saying is not how it actually works. So, the entity that holds the open space
Yep.
cannot hold the CR. A CR is then monitored, which can be then monitored by somebody else.
Okay,
Oh,
thank
good
you.
point.
So
Thank
you
you.
were making those.
I was
in your
confusing the two.
presentation.
Thank you.
So when the commission meets on Thursday, we'll be discussing whether we want to hold the open space, own the open space, and or hold the CR.
Okay.
So it's a
thank you
meeting
for
to discuss both,
Yes.
which are with one or the other, or how they decide they want to do that.
Okay.
But when you say monitor,
Sorry.
that's
Thank
okay.
you.
I just wanted
I-
to make sure
yep.
some people in this room know how that works. And
Yes.
I don't want to confuse anybody.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
clarifying that. Yes.
Can I follow up some more, Ms.
Yes, of course.
So Is it the HOAs? They have like a first right of refusal to own the open space?
No, so the applicant is going to meet with conservation, or
Oh,
the
it's
conservation commission is going to discuss. They're going to give their recommendation.
Okay.
At that point, the applicant will make a determination on
Okay.
who will own or hold the land.
Okay, so options are town, HOA.
Condominium association.
Yep.
Or another entity.
Okay.
Anyone else on the board?
So I just want to review, Danny, then when we started here, we had quite a discussion in the first couple of meetings about open space and the fact that we pretty much insisted that they take that calculated easement out of the required 50%.
Yes.
And Ian Rubin didn't like that idea at the beginning, but because of our experience in the past, that may or may not have come up in the past with other towns or whatever the case might be.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about a regulation in the open space regulations and guidelines, not a bylaw.
Correct.
This is a regulation, which we control as a board under our OSRD, open space regulations, basically.
Yep.
Open space residential development regulations. So I think what happened is we can see, we've had some comments about the shape, and because we have worked to try to move the easement away from Matabata, we've in essence created some unusual shapes in the yellow.
Yes.
But the important thing for me was your explanation about the difference between what actually ends up being in the conservation restriction and restricted open space in the end, and controlled, and the calculations we require. And if you recall, and I think the board probably recalls, we went through this at the very beginning of OSRD, that electrical company overhead wires could be included in the CRs, other kinds of easements, water, sewer, and other kinds of easements. So this is not a new topic to us as far as easements and their ability to be, and we reached out to professionals on this before.
Yeah, we've seen this on every OSRD that you guys had before us.
So we heard from other lawyers and other people on this particular issue.
I mean, we've had AT&T, we've had private sewer, private utilities, we've had access, and we've had them all.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm good.
I'd like to open up to public input regarding open space and the conservation restriction. Are there questions or comments?
Yeah. Let's handle the room first.
Hi, welcome. If you would say your name and address, please.
Yep, Liz Nonis from Berlina Court. I would just like to understand, the easement is where all the infrastructure is, the drainage system, the retention basin, so just how that meshes with ownership and conservation. Like there's concern about the stormwater system and potential issues, so who would own it, who would, be responsible?
Yeah, so the way it would work is the easement that gets recorded for the utilities would be owned by the the applicant, and then once it turns over to the condominium association. So the in the condominium docs, that would be within there that they're responsible for the upkeep in that, which is part of the O&M plan, which is the operation and maintenance plan, as to how you take care of a stormwater system and the utilities associated with it.
Even if they don't own the land?
But they have the easement.
They have the easement, so they own, that's what the easement's for. Yes.
That they are required to do the maintenance?
Correct.
And have liability, responsibility?
Yes.
For everything related to
And
it?
correct. And then within when the conservation restrictions gets written, that would be included in there as well. That they would be using, they would be going in there to conduct maintenance, yearly maintenance.
Got it, okay, thank you.
Lori Nearing, let's see. Do you have, through the chair, do you have a ballpark idea of how expensive, how much the HOA will need to be to cover this operation, the O&M?
I don't, no.
Not even an idea? Are we talking
No,
a couple
we don't have
$100 per house?
Nope, we don't have an idea.
But, I mean, it'll be whatever the cost is yearly divided by the 34 houses, so I don't even know.
Okay, seems like there should be some, Danny, do you have a rough idea?
No, that's typically done well past once the project
Okay.
gets approved and constructed.
Yeah, it's hard to consider small homes having to take that on as a burden.
Well, so just to clarify, they do it all the time. So I've been.
I'm very familiar with HOAs, but these are
This is
small.
not an HOA.
Fingry Hill has an
This is
HOA.
this is a condominium association. This is different.
Oh, sorry, but
Yeah, but yes. So it's similar.
Fingry Hill has
Yeah.
an HOA.
Yeah, it does. It's
Okay.
very similar to that.
Okay. I apologize, Jonathan, that I'm bringing this up again, but that little sliver of yellow,
Where? On the south portion of the site? This right
yep, yep, just doesn't meet the requirements from my understanding of what open space is, that it's supposed to be of value to the wildlife. And I don't understand how that happens. You indicated when you sat down that they have met the 50.2%. And if we remove that little sliver, I don't know if they still meet the 50%.
So this,
And I'm really
this-
concerned that that doesn't meet the requirements in my view.
So it does meet the intent of the bylaw.
Regulation or
So, I mean, the regulations, you're right. Sorry about that. Not the bylaw, the regulations. So this does meet the regulations. I understand, so within the design guidelines, there are some sections that talk about strips of land. This meets the 30 feet wide, even though they don't have to do that because this is not between a house lot. That's when we have subdivisions. So this meets that 30 feet wide. It goes around the property. And the reasoning behind this is this keeps all of the development internal, and there's a buffer of land that still is untouched on the outside of the property. So it helps make sure that there's no impact along that buffer to abutting neighbors.
So you think that the concept of connectedness is particularly important when trying to preserve meaningful.
I'm sorry, what?
You think that that's being met?
If can you say that again? I did not catch that.
The bylaw says the concept of connectedness is of particular importance. I'm sorry?
You're talking about a bylaw or regulation?
Regulation.
It's very important. Do we talk about the regulations, not the bylaw?
Could you please elaborate on the difference between the two? Because
Yeah.
I know they're both important, but I
So-
don't know how to distinguish them.
Yeah, so bylaws are set by the town in
Yeah.
the sense of they're voted into our zoning bylaws, which are typically done as they're the higher kind of like they're the bird's eye view. Regulations get more into the weeds where it is more in depth and more specific to certain requirements. So in the regulations, when we talk about that, those are ones that the board had created, not the town.
But there are also state and federal regulations, so these are distinct.
These are only set.
Town of Air regulations. Okay.
So I'm just going to pull up those regulations because I know that just so that we all can see what's being discussed. And so the configuration, the overall nature of the open space. So this one, the strips of common open space near house lots should not be less than 30 feet wide to both protect existing vegetation and provide a path to residents to access larger open space in subdivisions. So that's typically done in subdivisions. We did this on Shaker Mill Pond. There's a strip of land that was between two units. That's what that requirements is talking about, so that when you have house lots, this does not have house lots. This is a site plan and it's condominiums. So what they did was they provided a buffer around the whole development as to keep all the development on the internal portion and there still be an untouched buffer around the whole development.
I understand that it's a buffer, but I don't understand how it can be counted as part of the 50% open space.
Why couldn't it be?
Because it doesn't meet the definition of helping wildlife.
But that doesn't only have to meet wildlife.
That's not the way I interpret this.
Okay, but that's...
Yeah, but you know what? The board has already said, we've said that we're satisfied that it meets the design requirements and guidelines.
I guess I'm disagreeing with that decision.
You're free to disagree with it.
Okay.
Do we have anyone online?
I don't know if there was anyone else inside.
Nope.
There's two hands. So the first one, there's three hands. So the first one I'd go is Jacob because I think I saw him first.
Yeah, I'm gonna just be pretty brief on this and just add to the disagreement with the board that strip along the top and the bottom meet the 30-foot, because the house lots are not, they're not house lots as part of the construction, but they're adjoining house lots neighboring there. And I think the decision to disregard that is capricious. And I just want that on record. Thank you.
Noted. Who's next?
Catherine Yates again.
Yeah, Catherine Yates, 28 Groton, Harvard. So if the, who enforces or who monitors that the easement property and all of the utilities and all of that stuff is maintained? For example, if the COA does not appropriately manage their funds and they don't have the funds to maintain something, or they're just not doing it because they're not functioning properly.
Yeah, so as part of our requirement and one of our conditions in the decision is they would have to submit yearly inspection reports showing that they are maintaining all of that. We receive, so one of the conditions is every October we receive that letter, and it has to be from a professional engineer stating that all of this inspection was done, whatever maintenance needs to be done or fixed, that gets addressed, and then they would provide us with another letter saying that it was addressed. If that is not being done, the enforcement comes from the town, so the town would then talk with the with the condominium association to make sure that it does get addressed. One of the conditions that the town engineer did ask for was a surety bond for the stormwater system. So 5 years of the of the cost to upkeep the stormwater system. So 1 year's worth times 5, and that would be held in a bond.
Okay, awesome. And then will the CCRs for the COA set this out so that anybody purchasing or buying their, signing up to be on that COA knows that this is part of their responsibility?
Yes, so one of the conditions we would write in would be that, in the condominium documents, that would all be referenced in there. One of our conditions would be that before the condominium docs get recorded, I would review it so that to make sure that all of the conditions that we set forth that we felt need to go in the condominium docs are in there.
Okay, thank you.
And I think we have one other person.
Yes, there was more. No, we have more hands. Beth.
Good evening, Beth Sidmeyer, Nashua Street. I also just want to comment that I do feel that the conservation analysis findings are not being fulfilled to the extent which was intended. And I mentioned this in the last meeting in terms of the compromising of the integrity of the area proposed for the conservation restriction because of the layout. It's already been stated by others who have commented that, I think so much value is lost because of these narrow strips. I mean, one of the strips appears to be about 5 feet wide or something, in the access area approaching Groton Harvard Road.
That was done at the behest of the discussing with a abutting property to make sure to pull that away.
So I think that the ecological integrity is significantly compromised. And when I look at the conservation analysis findings, I just really feel like there's a lot of comment related to the interface of the stormwater infrastructure and the access related to the open space conservation restriction area and how that impacts basically, the integrity and the ecological significance of the rest of the property. So it is very disappointing to see a layout like this. And I also just want to make sure that the comments related to invasive species control and restoration of areas are fully implemented. I haven't seen a lot of information related to restoration adjacent to sort of the access connection between the infiltration basins and things like that. So, again, I'd really encourage the board to very strongly condition invasive species management throughout the property, including in the open space area, and the restoration of native species that are appropriate for these ecological system. I also want to call out, again, you'll be surprised, I know, but there's a lot of conversation in the conservation analysis findings about avoiding mature trees and adjusting the layout to include mature tree areas within the conservation restriction. We still don't have an understanding of the mature trees in the area. So again, I feel like it's been very difficult, if not impossible, to estimate where you're protecting mature trees within any of the property because we just don't have sufficient information. My final comment is really related to the green area that is included. It's shown as an easement area, but it's been indicated by the town planner that that would be included in the conservation restriction. I have serious concerns about the infiltration basins themselves being included in the conservation restriction. And if they are, there's going to be
allowed.
That's standard practice.
It's standard practice. It's allowed
A
by the
whole
state
heap.
law.
a whole heap of language related to management and the bonds and things like that for these infiltration basins within the CR. And, just really clarifying the town is not responsible for, and the town is holding bonds to be able to repair any damages that happen as a result of failure of those systems. So, it really complicates the CR process a lot.
I would just
but
reiterate on that,
sure-
it does not. We see this on almost every project that we have before us, and I know I've seen this on a project that actually went before you in Sudbury.
So again, the conservation restriction needs to be significantly evaluated to be sure to accommodate all of these contingencies related to the basins.
We got it.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Just quickly, Heather, can you just talk about what did we even? The easement and how it's allowed within the.
Well, so if you look at past planning board OSRD applications, I think the most recent one, so Curly Circle, that one has a stormwater infiltration basin within the OSRD. Within the conservation restriction, that plan was done and the conservation restriction was accepted and recorded back in 2020-ish time, or 2022, something like that, a couple years ago. We just had the baseline completed. There was no issues with that infiltration basin found in the baseline report. There is also one within the Panther Place. We're still in the process of doing that CR, but that was done and approved by the planning board as well, and is already in there. So there are at least two other projects in town that have the stormwater basins within the conservation restriction. There might be others that were done beyond this. I'm not sure where it is even in regards to
Stratton Hill.
Yeah, Stratton Hill. I'm sure. Yeah, Stratton Hill does have them, and as a project that was not a subdivision, I think even Air Solar 2 has it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an allowed use to have them in there. It does. I agree with Beth. It does make the CR process, the writing of it, a little more difficult. Thankfully, on this standpoint, we're not the ones writing them. Our town council just reviews them, and so does the state. So it's not our lawyers that are writing them, it's the applicants. But it is a common practice that we've seen in almost every single project that's come before the planning board under the OSRD.
And
If I could follow up.
regarding,
Yeah, we're just gonna get in an argument now.
trees, mature trees, and conditions of the conservation analysis and the invasive removal.
Yep.
Why it was chosen
Yeah,
there.
so as far as the invasive removal in regards to the conservation analysis, that was, most of it was written, if you read the conservation analysis, was in or surrounding the existing house, which is where the construction is, which is what was based in that analysis to say that the developed area should be within, due to the fact that that's where the invasive species are. When the Conservation Commission does a project, one of our conditions is they can't fill in with invasives in there. and to keep that from going. That'll be one of the conditions that I submit to Danny, and as far as this project, to make sure we're not bringing invasives in. As far as looking at mature trees and going around, same thing which we've mentioned before. When we go out and do our inspections for the erosion controls and the limit of clearing, haven't done any clearing before they do those erosion controls, so sometimes those get shifted to try to keep them around an existing larger tree. So we'll have that in there when we go out and do that erosion control and pre-construction meeting. And that's when we'll try to sit there and try to figure out what trees can be kept out on site to try to keep the integrity of that area. Also with this project, if you've gone through and looked through the landscape plan, it's a very robust tree replanting plan on there, lots of street trees. I know that doesn't replace mature trees, but it is something we have not seen in any other project that's come before the planning board to have that many, if at any, street trees replaced. Along with the conversation on the landscape plan, they made the comment to have more native species put in there. All the trees and shrubs for the street plantings are all native, and then they've made the condition, have revised the ones outside of the units to include native species.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Adam's been waiting, and then I'll
Yes.
acknowledge.
Yes, it was Adam next.
Hi, just wanted to get a point of clarification. Adam Carrier, 57 Cambridge Street. The yellow area, that is area that is not to be touched, is that correct? There will be no removal of vegetation and trees in those areas, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, very good. I just wanted to confirm that, and I just also want to state my own concerns about that others have stated about, the space that is being allowed, especially that small strip and so forth. No need to repeat what others have said, but just adding my voice to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you. Rachel Kozera, 30 Groton Harvard Road. I was just listening to your conversation about the easements, and so it just seems like there might be more than one type of easement, just with regard to our driveway. So I didn't know if there was language that would be possible to include in future discussions regarding, I guess, the parameters surrounding the modification, monitoring, all of the things that kind of go into what an easement might take on in the future. It just seems like there's two different kinds of easements that you're referring to. So I was just hoping to
She's right. There's several different kinds of easements, but it may not be applied to what we're talking about, where utility easements here.
Yeah, I agree with you. There are
Okay.
many types of easements out there. So the kind of easement
I'm so sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. So there are many kind of easements out there. All kinds. So your easement that you have is a driveway easement. It's a path, the right to pass and repass. This easement, which is the proposed easement area that it's shown up here, that's for utilities and
Okay.
stormwater.
All right, so will that language be addressed at a later time, or is it part of the plan? I'm so sorry.
In terms of what?
I guess it seems like you're discussing condo associations and the future plans, I guess, for the space that's being disrupted.
Mhm.
So, I don't know what will transpire, but just to have, I guess, some indication as to steps moving forward with regard to the just rules or regulations surrounding the usage of our driveway, any improvements or modifications that might be needed in the future.
Oh, in terms of your driveway?
Well, I guess just like making sure that when you're referring to different easements in the future, obviously our driveway is an easement technically. So I guess I was just speaking to what steps might be taken with regard to that, because it didn't seem like it was included in the specific discussion.
Yeah, so you're right. It was, so we will be specifying this is a utility easement. So within the plans, there's going to be a recorded document that deed and a easement plan that gets recorded at the registry that specifically shows this area and calls it as a utility easement. And your easement, in terms of that, it's not being included as part of the conservation restriction. It is a driveway easement that you already currently have on deed, so there's nothing that needs to be done for that.
Okay, so if there's a future difficulty with regard to, I don't know, it just seems like there's a lot of action that happens every season, and kind of the easement changes slightly as,
The easement should not change. The easements are...
Oh, no, I apologize. I just meant the texture of the driveway, or just like...
So are you asking who's going to maintain your driveway?
Well, I'm not sure at this time. I guess I just wanted some just clarification with regard to, it just seems like we're talking about all of the space that's not being developed. So I was just hoping to get clarification on that, just because it is.
That is outside of our scope. We don't control as to who maintains your easement.
Okay.
You either have an agreement or you don't. I don't know.
Okay, no, I was just trying to get clarification just because you were... I apologize. I'm not really familiar with all the different
I get it.
easements. I was just trying to differentiate. And then, goodness, I lost my other question. So thank you so much.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to call a 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm calling a meeting back to order. Okay, please. Excellent. All right, the next item is the surety bond for construction. Danny, will you lead us through this discussion? You took my copy of the...
All right. So the surety bond for construction.
Yeah, you got this.
So this was brought up as a discussion topic. I think so for a surety bond for construction. Typically, what is done is under subdivisions, we typically have a covenant or a bond that's put in place. Since this is a site plan, what the applicant had agreed to do. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah. So what the applicant had agreed to do on this occasion is to enter into a tripartite agreement. And what that is the town, the applicant, and their bank would enter into an agreement where there's a credit line that's held into throughout the project that the town, if the applicant, something needs to be done, say the applicant does not complete at the end of the project for some reason, there's a mechanism to cover those costs. The town can then draw down on those to finish up whatever work needs to be finished, and that way there is no town gets held responsible paying for that, or the homeowners in that current in the development. So we've done this on other projects, tripartite agreements with other developments. We did it with the John Carroll Reserve, the Curly Circle project. And so that would run through all the way to the end of the project until you guys give a final sign off, clear it off, and and then at that point they would come back in for a bond release, and that goes through the whole process. In terms of another one that Matt actually brought to my attention today was the one for the stormwater.
So these are two separate bonds.
Yes, they're two separate bonds. So under our stormwater management regulations, it gives the planning board the authority to have put in place a bond to cover 5 years worth of the cost for the O&M plan for operation and maintenance plan for the stormwater management. So basically, whatever 1 year cost for the operation and maintenance plan is for 1 year, you multiply that by 5. That gets put into a bond, which the town then holds until those 5 years are up.
I can also make another suggestion for a way that we've done it before is, as the developers, we fund that money and put it into the HOA's account and name the town of Ayer as signer on the account or account holder. There's a special way banks do it.
Yeah.
So that, you know, you could, that gives like the town a little bit more control over the condo associations. And that money.
For the stormwater,
for
you're talking about,
stormwater,
yeah.
Yeah, just so in the future, I mean, if that.
We would have
Talk about
to,
it.
yeah, we could talk about that with
One
the
way.
finance manager. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, they would be probably want to have a word on that, but the mechanism as how do we do it is we
It's gonna
can,
happen.
yeah,
Yeah, something has to happen.
it's gonna happen, but it's whether or not, you know, how we do it, we can discuss that
Technically,
with the finance manager.
Okay. I mean, it's just one, I don't know, it simplifies it maybe a bit, but
Yeah.
whatever has to happen.
Board colleagues, comments, questions?
So let's go to the first bond.
Mm-hmm.
The construction bond, we'll call it, for instance. Who's going to provide the schedule of values and the estimate?
So typically what happens is the applicant and their constructions and their GC will put together a schedule of values for all of the road work, infrastructure, everything associated not within the buildings. That gets all put together. They provide that schedule. The applicant would submit that to us. Matt and I and Dan would all review that, and the bank would also review that as well. And I'm sure there's going to be some iterations that go back and forth, and then eventually a final number gets settled. The bank, and then that gets put into that tripartite agreement.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So 2 bonds, how will we, will this be described in special conditions?
Yes.
And then, and they will both be tripartite?
No, so the first one would be the tripartite, which is the construction one. The stormwater one, that one, there's different mechanisms. It could be a cash bond, which then the town holds here, which we've done as well. Or it can be the mechanism that, you know, the applicant just proposed as well, that it gets put into an escrow account with the condominium association, and then the town is the signee and can have access to it. But we would have to, or we can do another kind of just a regular bond.
Mm-hmm.
There's multiple ways of doing it.
Okay, but we're gonna have a finding in the list of findings, and it'll say bond 1, bond for
Yeah, there'll be
construction,
a special
bond 2.
condition for each of them.
Yep, got it. I'll look for this.
So there's an expectation before we complete the decision, in the draft decision even, that we'll have the schedule of values of the tripartite agreement or draft of that or something like that.
I don't think, no,
Too early.
That's too early.
Right.
That's too early. We typically, it would be, the requirement would be for the tripartite agreement would be
Provided
prior to construction. That would be a
Okay.
prior to construction thing.
Thank you.
And then the surety bond for the stormwater, that's post-construction. We would probably set it to the, kind of like what we would with the CR of the final occupancy permit.
Yeah, okay.
Any further questions or comments from the board? I'll open up public input or questions or comments regarding the surety bonds. Lori? Is there anyone online?
Beth's hand is up, but I don't know if she still wants.
Let me think about how I want to say this. I'm wondering about the various bonds. If there were to be a complete catastrophe of something unplanned, the stormwater system doesn't work, we have additional flooding from climate change issues, things that we're trying to plan for, but something happens. Is it possible to have a bond to cover catastrophes?
There's no legal mechanism to do that.
There's no means
State law does not allow us to do that.
I understand that state law, but do you have the power?
That right there should be the end of the conversation right there.
You can't make a condition.
No.
Okay.
There's a lot of Supreme Court cases on that where now planning boards are not allowed to enforce conditions that go above and beyond their authority.
Okay, so the research that I did and submitted to you recently suggests that the town of Ayer is going to be liable if there are such conditions, considering this board is approving of all of this, and possibly the homeowners as well. So I am concerned about that. Can this be
It's the
retrieved?
liability of all towns and when they approve a project. That's why we have town council. That's why the process is the process.
Okay,
It's everyone's legal right.
that was actually my next question, is has this been reviewed by town council, and if not, can it be?
Has what?
The bond, the way the bond is being,
The town council will review the tripartite agreement. Yes.
and so they'll be reviewing the wording and the amount.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone online?
Beth has her hand up, but I don't know if she does want to speak. Oh, and we also have Pauline.
Rachel, come on up.
Hello again. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just wondering, I do apologize, I'm not really well versed on bonds, but the conditions that will be set forth with regard to if there is some sort of difficulty, is there a capability for the bond to become revocable in the sense that there might be conditions that don't meet specific situations that might come up? Is it an all-encompassing situation, or would there be specific instances that I guess would qualify for the bond to be revoked?
So which bond are we talking?
I guess any of the bonds. I think just knowing the structure of them and the enforcement might be beneficial.
Yes. So the construction bond, which is the tripartite agreement, that's only through construction. So if anything that occurs during construction, the applicant's responsible for handling it.
Okay.
That's on the bond is in place if say the applicant were to go under and they can't finish the project, and worst case scenario, they can't finish and they're still in the middle of construction. What happens at that point is the town then has the ability to pull that notice and draw down whatever it is that is required for us to finish bringing the land to loam and seed and finish, not buildings, but kind of seal everything up so that it's at a safe and functionable development at that point. That's the first bond. The second bond, that is for post-construction. The project has been built. The project has been signed off for the stormwater system. At that point, we have a bond that gets put in place where if we can use that if, I believe one of the residents brought up what happens if it's the CO conservation, the condominium association isn't maintaining it. Well, we can use that money to maintain it, to get it fixed and do whatever it is that needs to be done.
I understand. And so with regard to that, is there, is it possible to, I guess, revoke the funds so, you know what?
When you mean revoke,
I mean that there's,
You mean to actually draw the money down?
no,
to apply,
I
or-
mean that, if the applicant were to say, let's say this particular instance that happened didn't fall underneath the conditions that were set forth by the bond. I don't know how detailed bonds are or if there are specific things.
So-
Is it an umbrella of saying?
Yeah, so can I just pull up that right there? So the way the condition reads is
Which bond are you talking about?
the stormwater.
No, she's not. No, I think she's talking about the other one.
Oh, I
She
totally.
doesn't know which one she's talking about. Both of them, I guess she's gonna say.
I was curious about both of them. Thank you so much.
So construction, that's only during construction. There is no.
That one seems straightforward.
Yeah, that one's straightforward. There's no if this or if that. That one's if it's the road It's specifically spelled out.
But just for clarification, the documents are spelled out.
Yes.
So it has to comply with all the documents that are approved. So
Yes.
the documents indicate the scope of work,
Mm-hmm.
what has to be done. So the bond will basically tie into the construction documents,
Yes.
all the construction documents.
All of them.
Exactly. So what you're saying is, what if there's something outside the construction? I think that's what you're asking, if there's something outside the construction document.
I wouldn't see the only situation I can see outside of the construction documents would be the building, like a house. The construction bond would not cover it. It would maybe cover it for sealing up a foundation, but that's about it. It wouldn't be to build the house. It would be seal up the foundation and cover that so that it would be just dirt over it and loam and seed.
You mean a house that's constructed?
No, say the applicant goes under in the middle of they're building one unit that they have a foundation open.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's what I was curious. Okay, I understand. Thank you so
So
much.
if they go under and they stop all work at that point, there's a foundation that's left open, that's not safe. We would draw down whatever it is to fill that in, get it brought to grade and dirt, loam and seed, and make sure that all the areas
Okay,
as well.
I understand that.
Same with like infrastructure, whatever's necessary to be brought in, water, sewer, whatever's needed to be done.
Gotcha.
In terms of the stormwater, so for the stormwater, the way the condition would read is a stormwater maintenance fee or bond may be required to ensure the O&M of the stormwater system. The fee,
Tell me what O&M is.
operation and maintenance plan.
Okay.
And so what the operation maintenance plan is, it's set forth in the stormwater report, and it talks about just maintenance of the catch basins, all of the BMPs, catch basin, the Caltech, and the basin.
Okay.
And so as part of that, there's like mowing, cleaning out. That's all spelled out in the operation and maintenance plan.
Oh, yep.
So this it would say is the fee or bond would be based on the cost estimate, providing the value of 5 years of the O&M for the stormwater system. So that bond would be held in place for the cost of 5 years of that O&M plan.
Okay.
And that would be used for maintenance of the BMPs.
Gotcha.
The whole system.
Yeah, the whole system.
Wonderful. And then just as far as contingency goes, is it typical for the condominium association, I believe, to establish just the parameters, just handing off the baton, with regard to the set amount of funds that will be needed to ensure that these projects are well maintained? I think Lori I don't mean to ask for a number, but it just seems like it, just when you're transitioning, that it might be, something.
Yeah, so typically the way it works is the applicant will have the condominium docs and everything in place, and they will be running that for a couple of months because they're not going to turn it over right away because they're still going to have to close out the project's permits with all of us, whatever permits for stormwater, they still have to kind of close out all that stuff. Make sure everything's recorded properly. Then at that point, there's a transition where it turns over to the condominium association. There's trustees that get voted on, put on the board, and those people are then at that point in charge of handling the funds for the project. But by that point, the funds will have already been listed out for all of the condominium association fees. That goes into an account that is then used to maintain the property.
Okay, I understand.
Any condo.
Pardon me?
Any condo.
Sorry.
Yeah, any condo.
Okay, any condo. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Anyone on screen?
Beth has her hand up. Beth, do you want to speak?
Yes, thank you. So I can't find the wording that you're referring to for the stormwater perpetual bond.
So page 6 of our stormwater regulations, C, stormwater maintenance surety.
All right, because I certainly am familiar with other towns that have bonded in such instances for perpetual, in case of emergency type of pool of funds that the town could go to reimburse themselves for emergency response associated with failure of systems.
Yeah, that's what this would basically be.
Right, well, I think you said 5 years of maintenance, so that wouldn't be enough to handle catastrophe. But again, you might be limited to that. I just haven't looked at the exact language. And then, again, related to that, in this perpetual obligation and operations, which will be the duty of the association, that, again, with the level of liability, I guess, associated with the steep slopes and things on this site, not having geotechnical review and geotechnical peer review and things like that, that we want to make sure, again, that the language of the conservation restriction and any other restrictions allow the access of the town to this site to be able to take those actions apart from the typical conservation restriction type access, and then that the town can be reimbursed for the expenditures which they might incur above and beyond that bond amount. So just something to think through very carefully. And then I don't believe that you mentioned, but I believe it would be the practice that once the contractor and applicant submit the schedule of the cost estimates for all of these, both the tri-party agreement as well as the bond, that town staff reviews it and comes to a determination of appropriateness, but that the board actually is the one that would vote to establish what those amounts are.
I would have to check with the finance manager to see what the process has been.
I believe it's in the bylaw for the performance bond that's the process.
I'll have to double check that. If that's so, then that would be the process.
Okay, so usually you just try to condition, the way that the wording is in the bylaw to the extent possible.
Pauline?
Yes.
Good evening, and thank you for taking my call. I want to follow up on Lori Nearing's. I'm going to rephrase it as a +1, Danny, since you mentioned that. But I believe the planning board has received a lot of correspondence pertaining to this particular development. Question,
is that
sorry.
a question or a statement?
Yes, it's a question.
Yeah.
What's the question? Yes, we have received letters. Yes, we have.
All right. And how does the public access those?
As of right now, FOIA request.
And I've made that request about 20 days ago.
Okay, I'm not in charge of that. I don't deal with FOIA requests.
Well, it's not a FOIA request; it's a public records request.
Which is a FOIA request.
You've received a number of correspondence from residents, I presume.
Yes.
Regarding this development, I just wanted to make that part of it. How do you plan to make that part of the public record, Mr. Krantz?
I don't. Are we going to post them or?
No, we don't post them on the website. Typically, the process is they're either addressed by me or they're addressed by the applicant if it's a question, or the peer reviewer that needed to have it, and then it gets put into the record in my files that I have.
So it's possible, Mr. Ruiz, that you have responded to these correspondence?
So as I stated at the last meeting, I respond to almost just about every email that I receive, and I'm pretty sure every abutter here can attest to that. I respond to just about every email. The planning board sees every email that goes out in my response, so yes.
All right, well, that's great. I appreciate that. You've not responded to my last two, so I'll leave it at that.
Well, they were directed to Robert, not to me.
Well, you were copied, and I think as
But that's
the
not
planning
directed
board-
at me. You specifically directed it at me.
All right, I'm not
let's
gonna get
thank you,
into an
Pauline.
argument with you. I will not argue with you, but you are the town planner and the administrator to the planning board. I will follow up, and please send me those correspondence. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I believe there was another hand. Oh, wait, did it disappear? No. Oh, Catherine.
Hi, yeah, Catherine Groton, Harvard Road. For the bond, is it that the bond will only be in effect for 5 years, or that the value of the bond is equal to 5 years worth of maintenance?
The value of the bond is for 5 years.
So when someone mentioned in perpetuity, the bond will be in existence for so long as, well, forever.
That's correct.
Great, thank you.
All right, stormwater peer review. Want to
Yes.
bring us up to date with where we are and where we're going?
All right, we've got, yes, Jim, thanks for being patient. I'd also like to have Matt up for this one as well.
He's patient too.
I know. So the applicant the applicant responded to the last peer review comments. They were then reviewed by they revised plans. They were then reviewed by Jim Thorne from Green International. And out of that conversation, or out of that review, there were 2 comments that were left open. They had addressed all of the other comments that were set in the peer review. There's comment 27 and comment 42. I believe so. The applicant did send an email to Jim, and Jim did clarify that on that email what those concerns were for those 2 comments. It came down to basically the first one, which is 27. So this one, it talks about this is about the I'll kind of let Matt handle this one. This is kind of more
technical.
More technical.
Yeah. Okay. You want me to just give a quick overview?
Yeah.
And also just with the peer review, just so people understand what the peer reviewer did.
Yes.
So the peer reviewer, they looked at all the applicants' plans, stormwater management plan, calculations, everything, and they made sure everything was complete. They compared it to town regulations, state regulations, federal regulations, and basically did like, yes, meets it, doesn't meet it, here's the comments. And from there, there's back and forth, making sure things are properly addressed. So that's kind of that's what that table is, and that's what Jim, that's really his work on this project as a peer reviewer.
So as they were doing that process, they were going back and forth between you, the applicant's engineer, and Danny and whatnot in a sequence of step by step and double checking each of these lines that they created with this rather large Excel spreadsheet, if you want to call it that.
That's exactly it.
Thank you.
And so, you know, based on, so there's these 2 open comments based from the last review. Matt, on I believe at this point, the applicant has agreed to that 42 can be addressed. Basically, on that one, it's updating some of the numbers within the stormwater report versus the AutoCAD, making sure inverts are matching. And so what would happen is that the applicant would submit those and make sure that those are fully addressed. That would be a condition as well, that those are revised, because it's more clerical to make sure that those all match. In terms of the other comment, which was...
Can I pause? So is DPW satisfied with that response? Is that what they...
Yes, so just from our perspective, that's something that does need to be addressed, but it's not I wouldn't describe it as like a big picture comment that's gonna result in
I'll make a comment on that. Just to say that if I revise those numbers as Mr. Thorne has described how he would like to see them.
We're not talking about the 90% one.
No.
Okay.
I'm talking about the pipe inverts.
Yes.
And how we do in the HydroCAD calculations. I ran those calculations. I had them on the sheet of paper, and I'll give you the largest difference is in the 100-year, and it's 7/100ths, and it's still way beyond the pre-existing conditions.
7/100 of an inch?
Yeah. 7/100 cubic feet per second. And if you look at TR55, they didn't go further than 1 CFS. We now calculate to 2/100 to 2 decimal places, which is way beyond any accuracy. So we're here talking about things that really are somewhat irrelevant.
Yeah, I guess my concern with that is, I wasn't really concerned with the peak rate with that update. I was more concerned about, the peak elevation, and knowing that the outlet pipe is now going to be higher than what was modeled, and making sure that the peak elevation is still within the basin, and that the basin is not overtopping for the 100-year storm. That was my only concern for that comment. So if the basin isn't going to overtop for the 100-year storm, then that should satisfy the comment.
Certainly does not.
Okay. And that was 42?
Yeah, that was 42. So the other comment, which is the, one that was kind of more important, and
Number 27?
Yeah, which Matt felt needed to be addressed. This was kind of the confusion with the static method, the way the calculation was being done of the 1 inch for the impervious and the TSS removal. So in after Jim's email of asking what the kind of the clarification was, in the end it was whether or not they were meeting the 90% of what the town's regulation was. And so in his email, his question was whether 90% was at pre-treatment prior to the basin and the BMPs or post. So I would turn this over to Matt on this one, because I believe they're at 85% before for pre-treatment, which is higher than the stormwater handbook of the 80%. And the 90% that's set in our regulation is not for pre-treatment before the chambers, it's at the end of the line.
That's exactly right. So this was kind of just, this comment was like, I should say that this comment's kind of evolved over time, but that was really kind of the last part of it. It was just interpretation of like the town's regulation for stormwater treatment, how much needs to be treated before it actually leaves the site. So I think we've all landed on an understanding that that 90% number was the requirement for leaving the site versus going into the infiltration chambers. I know it's a very nitty gritty comment, but that's what it was. So this comment, the reason I thought it was important was it's really been about the stormwater infiltration system. So I know there's been a lot of comments on that. I just want to make sure it's addressed properly and settled.
Okay.
And I think, based on the email from Jim was, if that is okay with that 90% is at the end, or, because they're doing 85, then the comment is addressed.
Yes, just from my interpretation of the
Yes.
regulations, their proposal does meet it. That's correct. And this comment is addressed.
So Jim, is that your understanding that these two comments are now sufficiently addressed?
Yeah, I was leaning that way as well. I just didn't want to say it because I want to get the town input as well.
Okay. Thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
This is about as technical as you can get. I think. I'm breaking this down into whatever number of lines we have here, 70 or 80 lines.
We're at 4 pages of comments.
From our most technical member. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
It is highly technical, and Ian and Jim have worked really, really hard, but I think they both agree that in the end, that it's an excellent system that is going to be installed. So with what Ian designed and Jim's input into it, Ian said, we talked about it yesterday, he said it's certainly, it's a great system. Yeah. So with Jim's suggestion, so I am glad that we went through the whole peer review, and though it was very detailed and very frustrating at times, I think it was resulted in a stormwater system that everybody feels really comfortable with.
And I just want to underline the point that this stormwater system it's been seen by at least 3 different engineering groups. First, we have the stamp from Ian himself, right? Your engineer. Then we have a review from DPW with their engineers. And then finally, we have Jim Thorne from Green. So that's 3 reviews stamped from licensed professionals. Okay, thank you. Any questions on the board? Or?
No.
I'll open up for public comment on these specific aspects of the stormwater. Anyone on?
This is really complicated.
I would do the room first.
Okay. Lori?
Figure that out.
Thank you. Hi. Yes.
You're the only one.
It's
It's an honor, Lori.
I think this is related to the topic to the board, Lori Nearing. I am still confused about once the water comes down to the Caltech system. I understand that there's been flooding on Groton Harvard Road that's going to be addressed, hopefully, by all of this. I don't really understand what the path of water is from the Caltech system through the pipes. I think they go under Groton Harvard Road, and then it all gets released eventually into Flanagan's Pond. Is that correct?
Yeah. So basically, the way it works is, yeah, once it gets to the basin down below, down at Groton Harvard, or not the basin, the Caltech system here, there it will go into a chamber, into the ground.
Into the ground.
The only way it overflows into the culvert that's on that would leave the site is if there's excess amount of water, like multiple storms occur, or a high level storm, 100-year storm, right? Is that Ian? The trigger is the 100-year storm at that point.
Yeah, an intense storm would overflow.
And so what would happen is that would overflow and then go into the culvert that's under the ground. As part of this agreement, as part of this decision would be that the applicant would provide monetary funds for the town to create a design for the plan. But the applicant would handle, or the condition was.
Yeah,
Matt.
do you want me to?
Yeah,
go through it?
you know the condition on that one better than I do.
So what the applicant has on their property for stormwater controls has been reviewed, and we feel comfortable, at least I do, with what they have. The street system it's definitely not to today's standards, like most old drainage
It's currently
infrastructure.
not the standard.
A portion of it in the
Okay.
street, so it'd basically be upsizing a pipe in the street, as well as some work off of the street where it goes into Flanagan Pond, just to make it all today's standards, if that makes sense.
So is there going to be, how does it get to the pond? Does it follow a conduit? It's part of the ACEC. It is connected to this because overflow will happen.
Yeah, there's
Is there a pipe or is it a trench that carries the water? That's helpful.
It's okay. Let them.
you want me to?
Yeah. I'm trying to pull it up right now. So.
Sure.
So basically, the way it works is the culvert runs underneath this ground and comes out to right here, which is actually on the Flynn's property, which is 35. Thank you. 35.
Yeah, we're here.
We can address this.
Yeah, you haven't been recognized yet. After Lori, please, thank you.
Yeah. And then the water runs through a ditch that runs along this property. I know Matt went out there and met with the neighbors, and there are concerns about maintenance on that area.
Okay.
Would need to be cleaned up and maintained. But once it goes through there, it would go into Flanagan.
Okay, so they're kind of two separate issues, but they're connected and one supports the other.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I make a comment, Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Isn't it a fact that the drainage coming down the Groton Harvard Road goes to the exact same place that we're talking about? That there are catch basins and manholes down the Groton Harvard Road, all lead to that one spot, not just the project. I don't want the confusion of thinking that it's the one project that's in front of us is the only project connected to that system.
That's correct. That's my
So it's
understanding.
collecting water down the street. Those driveways, there's 10 lots up there the driveways are pitched to the street. All that water's coming down to Groton Harvard Road. This happens to be the end of that system. It's got a manhole there with a graded cover on top. Goes to a head wall, the property, and all that water goes, whatever's handling.
And the thing is, on this one, since it was not maintained properly, that's why that area is, so it's really overgrown. It doesn't really go where it's supposed to go. And as part of that, we've had discussions about getting that addressed.
Okay, but this project we're looking at is a piece of what happens on that whole system.
Correct.
Thank you.
The bottom line is hopefully all of this is going to be addressed and that flooding should be relieved because of combination of what you're doing to clear the
drainage
ditch. The ditch and a larger stormwater basin, a larger pipe. Yeah. Okay.
And there's also, this is within, the backside of that property is within the floodplain. So there already is a FEMA flood map that shows that back portion of that property is floodplain. So there is a component of that as well.
And does this require any ACEC oversight or extra regulations? It's part of a maintenance thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Hi and welcome.
Thank you. So,
Name and
give
address.
Anthony Flynn, 35 Groton Harvard Road. I have that property. You know, we have that property that deals with all this. Unfortunately, the 100-year storm happens. We've been there for 3 years, and in that time, we've had 3 different floodings in the first year. That our basement, because I didn't see anything there that said about the underground water. Because the last one, because now we have a generator because of all this constant thing. There was a time 2 years ago we were away from, and it was a spring day. It was sunny, so there was no reason that we came back with 3 inches of water in our basement because of the overflow. We have 2 different areas, one at the base of our driveway and one at the in our basement, which is a well. Two sub pumps on this one sub pump on this one. During the spring, they are constantly going, like every day, 24 hours a day. And that's my biggest concern is nowhere in the records does it show the underground water that is there. And then, of course...
Just before you get to your next one, just so that we
Yep.
can just kind of go back and forth. So on the groundwater, it was tested. There were deep holes, test pits that were done and conducted by the applicant, but witnessed by the town engineer. And basically, what that does is it measures where the mean high groundwater is, and it tells you what the highest point of where that water is on that in the area. So they did test a test pit hole down here, which is why they lifted the Caltech chamber in that area to make sure that they had enough ground cover for there to be enough infiltration to stay in there.
Well, I'm seeing firsthand that in the last 3 years.
So in your side of the property, it's very possible that it's higher.
Unfortunately, all the plans were conveniently stopped at that street.
That's
and never addressed anything beyond that. And I want to see the town, the government, everyone take a look at our side of because there's that whole area that wasn't addressed at all anywhere in this.
So legally, they're responsible for their site. We can't require them to look at off-site downstream of the property. The only thing that the stormwater standards by the state that they enforce and our regulations is they cannot increase the amount of water leaving their site from existing to post.
Right.
They're actually reducing it. In your lot, you're right. You may have higher groundwater than they have over there because you're down by Flanagan's Pond.
Yes.
So, but that is an existing condition on your property that they are not responsible for.
Okay, because we because now we're part of that flood plan. As of July, we now have to pay the flood insurance and everything, and we didn't in the past. And now all of a sudden, we're going to be adding more water into the pond.
No,
which,
they're reducing the amount of water.
Well,
it's based on the calculations, based on the peer reviewer, based on.
But
we are reducing the amount of water.
But nothing shows beyond the street
because it's not. We cannot do that.
Why?
That's the state law. Stormwater regulations. They're responsible for their property and the watershed map. They are responsible for upstream because they have to address what's coming down that hill. So they're addressing upstream of everything. So they the VOA. So their watershed map. I can pull up the plan just so that everyone can see what I'm talking about.
But why weren't our properties on that?
Excuse me, no one can talk except those recognized by the chair here.
I understand. I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page.
I'm sorry. I'm new at this. And this
of course.
Because nowhere did it say that our area, especially since now this whole because 2 years ago I was out there with just a shovel trying to dig out a path so that our backyard was part of Flanagan Pond for a long time. Our shed was its own little island. And that's my biggest concern.
I understand that. So let me just explain the process. So this map shows what the watershed map that they are responsible for under state and federal regulations and town regulations. They have to address this watershed. And based on that, so they have some from other people's property. They have the VOA up here, and then they have these other existing. So these catchments are all what they're responsible for. They are not responsible for reviewing downstream conditions as long as they are meeting the state regulation of not increasing what is currently out there. And that's how the state does it, because if you're not increasing the amount of water that's leaving the site pre-construction, then it shouldn't have an impact post-construction. I agree. They're reducing the amount of water that's going to be leaving the site, so it should help the conditions in the area. I can't speak for what your groundwater is. That's based because you're right next to Flanagan Pond.
So how can we be assured? Because right now, I mean, we're good if
the stormwater peer review. That's what we all have to rely on.
So if the stormwater peer review messed up and we're now part of Flanagan,
that would assume that Matt, the peer reviewer, and Ian were all wrong.
Okay. So
and I understand what you're coming from, but we have to follow what is set before us. There's a peer reviewer that was hired, an independent, has no ties. They reviewed it. They're approved. They are at the point where they're saying they're okay with it. We can't now start saying, well, I think we need to.
Well, they did address that they never went past that street, and that's my biggest concern.
That's how it's not.
So
illegal.
We become Flanagan Pond, and it's so sad, too bad.
That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is we're following the state laws.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
Your lot is at the end of where the water comes out. And that pipe at this point is half filled with sand. So a lot of the water is being held back from flowing down to the pond. And because it's being held back, you are accumulating groundwater. The intention here is to collect all that water that is collecting there by that catch basin, putting it into the ground, putting a larger pipe so that it flows faster and the pipe is cleaned and it will bypass your house. That's the intention. Would you agree with that, Matt?
Yes, and just to add to that with the drainage ditch, on on the property, the town actually has easement where that drainage ditch is, so it's actually the town's responsibility to maintain that drainage ditch, and just my understanding, just being out there, it clearly hasn't been well maintained. One of my recommended conditions, I know it wouldn't necessarily mean it would absolutely be approved of.
Don't worry,
would be,
it'll be in there.
would be some funds for actually making that drainage ditch proper to where it was before the maintenance issues started happening, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so the water can flow and not be backed up. Because right now it's being backed up. It's being backed up by the pipe being filled with sand. It's being backed up with the catch basin not being able to collect all the runoff, and it's sitting on the street and it goes into the ground. And that is really what is what affects you. Now that all of this is actually going to be opened up to the ditch, and the ditch which will bypass your house will stop it from collecting at your house. The level of groundwater will never really change. I mean, the groundwater is essentially stays the same as it always has for thousands of years. So that is not going to change. But at least the backing up of that stormwater is being taken care of with this project.
Well, I mean, I know firsthand that that's not the case. There is no path to Flanagan Pond. Right now, it goes through a jungle at the beginning, does a little snake thing, goes in the back, and then finds a wall. So there is, and like I mentioned, I was there 2 years ago with a little shovel trying to dig out, and I couldn't get anywhere.
I mean, I think that's what Matt said, is they would clean that out.
Yes, but that needs to be done before anything else goes on, because right now the water would go into our backyard.
Have you been calling the town about this to get?
I have.
Yes.
I called.
How long have you been calling the town?
3 years since we got here, and every time it goes to deaf ears. And finally, until this started, Matt was able to come in and take a look. But I've been trying for 3 years since we got here because of how big of an issue it was.
Yeah.
We've only been here.
He reached out to me and I put him in contact with Matt.
Okay. But
this was after 2 years of me trying, because I kept on calling and they said, yeah, we'll get you to the right person, and then crickets. And then I would call back again and again. So unfortunately, we've been trying to address it since we purchased the house. So
and just to speak, I guess on Public Works' behalf, I think it was probably a misunderstanding of kind of the extent of the maintenance issue. I think at the street where the drain flows into the ditch, that's always been backed up, so we cleaned that out, but I think the whole ditch itself hasn't been, which is kind of what we'd like to accomplish as part, a condition of this project, if that.
Well, I don't agree. I think it should be done right now. If he's been calling the town for 3 years, that's before this project came on board. So it should be fixed by the town if it's a town easement.
But
I understand where you're coming from, but
you should fix it. I don't think we have to condition it and wait for.
Well, no. The condition of the culvert's going to be.
The town should fix it.
The condition of the culvert, that's going to be put in. The terms of the cleaning of that, that's kind of up to the board as to how you guys want to handle that.
But honestly, I would like to see that if, since if it does, well, regardless if it goes or not, before any boots on the ground, we would like to see that be addressed, so that, because we've seen it 2 years ago, like I said, we had no backyard. It was basically underwater. So
let me just say one thing,
and that's why this is.
I mean, we have a responsibility, agreed with Matt, as to what we're going to do, but his problem is really not our problem.
Yeah,
so
no.
we shouldn't.
And I think that's what Ken is saying. That he's saying that it should be addressed now by the town.
Right.
Please, please, no one can speak except the ones recognized by the.
Yeah, I just wanted to just reiterate. There's a sound bar up here that picks up a lot of the noise in the and when we're recording. That's why I asked at the beginning. I know some people may have not been here, but try to keep the talking to the minimum in the back. I don't know how the board wants to handle that. I would have to have a conversation. We would have to have a conversation with Dan regarding the time of having them go out there and do it, because it's not a simple just do it right away. Because there would be conservation that they would need to go through.
Yep.
There'd be approvals for that, so it's not like something that would just happen tomorrow.
Well, no.
But-
We put the conditions in our decision,
Mm-hmm.
they're there.
Yeah.
But before those conditions come about, the
Oh,
town
yes.
should be proactive. That's my point.
I 100% agree. I'm just saying that we'll have to talk to Dan about getting that done right away, but it's probably not going to be a tomorrow kind of thing. It's just the timing on that. They have to go through conservation on that.
Yeah, if you want me to walk you through every step of what would have to be done, I'm happy to do it, but I don't want to waste any time.
I know the steps.
So the board would be saying would prefer that it gets done now, right?
I would prefer that it gets, but
That's what I
I'm
just wanna
saying
make
is
sure.
not the conditions of our approval.
No.
It can't be a
I'm
condition.
talking about
Separately,
Yes.
I would
Yeah,
encourage
we
the town.
can't condition it to be done now.
Exactly. I would
It would
encourage
be
the town to help them out.
Matt and I will talk to Dan, and we'll set up a meeting with Dan, and then we'll come also contact you to discuss this about timing on getting that done.
Yes, and because we've been
Yeah,
we've
I mean,
been swimming in our backyard.
I wish I knew sooner.
Yes.
Because like
Obviously,
I didn't know
we-
until we spoke
Yes.
a couple months ago. So.
Because I kept on calling, and I guess I didn't get the right department, and they kept on
Very
moving
possible,
me
yeah.
everywhere, and it just went to deaf ears.
Yep.
And then eventually, I was able to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
So it was.
I'll make
yeah.
sure that this gets addressed. Matt and I will meet with Dan, the DPW director, and we'll talk about this and about getting this started going as quickly as we can. Because there is going to be some approvals that need to be done through conservation. So we'll try to expedite this as quickly as we can.
That's if this does go through and everything, we want to make sure that, like I said, we're not part of Flanagan.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got some more?
There's, I think everyone in the room is. We have several hands on here. First one is Catherine Yates.
Hi, Catherine Yates, Groton, Harvard. So the first thing I need to say is that I'm in a butter, I'm in the bottom, it's hard for me to kind of assess where this is, but the bottom left corner property. I haven't received any of the notices for these planning board meetings. A neighbor sent me a screenshot of one back in May, so I was able to jump on really quickly. And then after that, I contacted the town because I don't live in the house there. So I learned then that I needed to update my address with all the different departments in order to that.
Yeah. So it may have been that the fact that the assessor's office doesn't have your current
Right.
address. They would mail it to whoever is shown on the assessor's map right now as the owner. And if the owner shows you living in the house, it would have been sent to that house.
Right. So I think that's what I figured out, but I figured that out back in May. So I don't know if there has been a meeting since May, but the woman I spoke to said she was the one in charge of making all the addresses and whatnot. And I had updated my address with her and I still haven't received any of the notices. I just got information about today because it was on a Facebook page.
Yeah. So let me clarify on that. We don't notify for every meeting. We only notify for when the public hearing is being opened. There's not a process. It's not a weekly notification to every abutter. They're legal. The state statute is to notify abutters when the public hearing is open, and then after that, it's posting the agenda on the town website and town board, and that's kind of the notice on how it gets out.
That's the notice. Okay. All right. And so then I have a couple of questions with this. Some of my questions were already clarified with the previous discussion. So I understand that the stormwater cannot be increased, leaving the property that's being developed. What if it is there any risk or is there assessment of it being diverted? So the amount of the stormwater that would be leaving the property is going to be the same or less. But my concern is that the grade of the land, I had an engineer look at it and it all kind of flows to my property. So I'm concerned that that there's going to be an increased amount flowing in that direction if it's not adequately diverted to these drains or cauldrons or basins.
What's your address again?
28 Groton. So it's that bottom left, or
this one right here.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to see. It's that.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's that.
So
that one.
it's
So it's that square
across from the Kazera's driveway easement, right? Yes. It's down here.
Yeah. We share there. We have that little tiny funny piece of land that is the easement to get them behind. Yeah.
So in terms of the water, I would say, Matt, on this one, the water where it's naturally going already, there's not going to be water's not going to be going in that direction, or added water's not going in that direction.
Correct. It's
all being funneled towards.
No water from our site ends up on that lot.
Can I get that in writing?
No.
That's not right.
No.
No water as a result of the change to the construction.
Existing conditions have stayed.
The existing condition is there's going to be water going on.
So Catherine, the existing condition states as it is now. It should say.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so that was going to be kind of my next question: is what percentage of the stormwater from the project is being diverted to these cauldrons? Is it, or I'm saying cauldrons, but basins, whatever they're called.
All of it.
Yep.
All of it, 100% of it. Okay.
From the
All of
developed area,
of the developed area.
Developed area, yes.
Right. Because there's obviously natural. I mean, we all have water down there, so there's natural water that's going to be flowing, or that does right now. Okay. And so I've heard a bit about the overflow concern. So in the same kind of sense, if there's an overflow situation, how is that addressed? I'm sorry that I don't know it because
So it won't affect your lot. It's basically the discussion we just had. So the direction of where it goes is along that, into that culvert, along the property of the Flynns that we just spoke about.
Okay, so it's all diverted there. And to your point that this has all been peer reviewed, you guys have had all the experts in looking at it and whatnot, and that's essentially
correct.
what's being relied upon.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Beth.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Can
it's just
I-
she was next on the list.
Oh, she was, okay.
Yeah, hi. I just want to clarify one point. I know that there had been comments in the past about requiring additional test pits. And I just want to make sure that those were all adequately done and, data looked good, because I just wanted to make sure that, additional test pits wouldn't be part of the conditions, because a site like this is just difficult.
Not on this site.
Not on this site, no. The test pits were all done.
All done, and they looked good. Town and Green have reviewed those. Okay. On the tie-in to the MS4 system, so it's been confirmed that there's no increase in the rate or the volume reaching the MS4 system,
Yeah.
rate and volume.
That's what the peer review has stated.
Okay. And then is there a separate MS4 connection permit that the DPW issues?
No, not for private developments.
But that's the thing, is when a private development connects to the town system, usually that's a separate step, no?
You're talking about like a direct, like pipe connection into the town drainage system? Is that what
Or
you're
but
talking
this is an instance of it draining to a catch basin or a pipe, right?
So
it's a contribution.
Yeah, Public Works, we would only need some sort of permit if it's like somebody trying to directly connect their drainage into a pipe, not if their water flows, I guess, across their property and then into the town storm drain.
Okay,
If that makes sense.
so in that case, then, it's the conditions of the planning board permit that really need to consider all of your requests for maintenance and, adequacy of what will happen within the town system.
Yep, we require that on all NIB project and a stormwater management permit.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Last I see is Adam.
Hi there, Adam Carrier, 57 Cambridge Street. Two things. This review, does it cover the period of construction as well as once everything's already built? Because one of my concerns as an abutter is if we get one of these 100-year storms as they're starting to break ground but haven't put in all the drainage yet, what could be the results?
Yeah, so what handles that is the SWIP report, the NIPD's permit, which gets reviewed by EPA, the federal government. They submit that. There's also our stormwater management permit, which requires inspections for the erosion control during construction. They submit that information to us weekly to us. We review it. We walk the line to make sure that there's no overtopping. If there is, they have to fix it. So all of these, this is what handles stormwater during construction.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Also, I heard a statement that was, to my knowledge, quite wrong. Groundwater, I believe, fluctuates seasonally and from year to year. It is not the same over the course of thousands of years. That might be true of the aquifer deep underground, but the sort of groundwater we're dealing with changes quite frequently, is my understanding, though I am no expert, admittedly. Thank you.
Groundwater moves up and down.
Yeah, good. That's why there's a measurement of mean high groundwater. Yeah. Let me just make sure there's no one else. Yeah.
Michael Govang, 34 Groton Harvard Road. The stormwater, you said 100% or whatever of your development is going to have the water contained. Can you pull up
of the impervious area?
Impervious area. Go to their
New construction.
I don't know what page it is. Maybe
For the site plan, just kind of showing the overall plan.
Show me where the catch basins are.
Yeah. Okay.
That one.
So there is a catch basin. Wow.
Yeah, there's 11 catch basins.
Yeah, there's one here, there's one there, there's one area catch basin there, there's one in this road right there, there's one in this corner, there's another in this corner, there is
Right in the middle of that.
two over here,
By the duplexes.
there's one up here, yep, there's one right in this area by the duplexes, there's another one right here, and there's another one right here.
Right. So all the outer surrounding area where the houses are, on the bottom part there.
This right here?
Yeah, yeah. And according to the topographical map, water is going to basically, that's on top of rock. So it's, in my opinion, the water is going to go into the ground, into the grass, and go down the rock and still end up going. You can't possibly say that whole area is going to be caught full of water. So a lot of those spots, the water is going to go into the ground and hit the rock and follow the slope of the rock down to P12 and to Catherine Yates's yard and so forth. So you can't say that the open space is the only space that's going to give her water as well as anybody else. Part of that development is going to be going into the rock, down through the grass, and down the slope. You also have to consider, if you're going to put water going down into the Cultec, that's one thing. Because yes, you're filtering it at the infiltration basin. Say that 10 times fast. You have a filter for oil up there, SC1, right? SC, whatever it's called. All right, so you got the oil there, you got the phosphorus and everything else in the infiltration basin going to the
catch basins.
and the catch basin as well. Caltech has it covered, I guess, to some extent. I don't understand that one that well, but then you have all the other open space that's going to funnel down to between my property and the Caltech basin, and hopefully get maneuvered to the drain. Hopefully, right? Otherwise, it sits there, and we have the problem of the water in our basement, which we've already talked about. The problem that you might have is if you continue to cover everything and force it to the Flynn side, you're talking about all that open space is going there as well. You're also going to have a certain amount of water from their development, which is going to be subjected to salts, fertilizers, whatever else human beings make a mess of on their property is going to filter down. I say filter. It's going to go down through the grass, along the rock, out down there, and now you are pumping more possible contaminants into Flanagan Pond, which might be a problem.
So that's a valid concern. I mean, I think we can do a requirement, a condition that no fertilizers or herbicides. You know, I've seen that on many restrictions because this does go into Flanagan Pond, which is a valid concern there. I think we could do a restriction, a condition. Sorry, we can do a condition that you know, no fertilizers, no herbicides, or no. I think that's kind of that covers most of
Go to
it.
the Conservation Commission, they have a standard, I think, that they are using around town, a suggested way for fertilizers and stuff like that. Doesn't Conservation have a standard?
The state does. We do not have a fertilizer bylaw because the state already doesn't allow you to.
Okay. So yeah, we can do that. That could definitely put a condition, and that would definitely.
Well, it's something you should be aware of, right? I mean, that could come back and bite you.
It's a long way, but it is what it is.
I mean, but it is a valid concern.
Okay.
And also, like I said, water going to Catherine's property and Kazera's property as well is not just the open space. You're going to have a certain amount of that water from their development that's going to still get through the rock and go underneath everything.
Where it currently goes. So the existing is not going to increase. So that's the requirement.
But I'm just clarifying.
Yep,
When he says,
"Yep,
oh, it's all contained in this spot,"
Okay.
no, it's not. It's not. It's gonna get through
Let me make
there.
one clarification here. If you look at the topography on Catherine Yates, on that plan,
Yep.
and I don't want to sit here and show you the direction of all the runoff. There is no runoff from the developed site that goes to Catherine Yates' lot. The topography makes it perfectly clear, but I'm not gonna explain it. I mean, it bypasses her lot. Some of the open space certainly goes to it, but none from the developed lot. And all paved surfaces, all roof surfaces, including road salts and everything else, is collected by catch basins, by infiltration basin, and Caltech chambers. And those are the fact that we collect the first inch of runoff is to collect the salts and the fertilizers and all contaminants. And that's what the purpose of doing these calculations. And when you have the town regulations, which is way more severe than the state, I think that is perfectly adequate compared to any other town. Yours is about the most strict town I've come across. So,
exactly.
Well, I wish you would show me that, but I'm not an expert at that. Admittedly, I'm not an expert, but it looks to me, just from the elevations, it's going to go that way. It all goes downhill. It's eventually going to get there. But okay, I've said my piece.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's getting late, folks. Please.
As long as it's not a repeat.
Is this
as long
new
as it's not a
stuff?
repeat.
It's got to be new because it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, we're all tired.
We all are tired.
As long as we just no repeating. Let's try to. Yep.
Actually, Rachel first.
Yeah.
It's okay,
Lori would like to.
Okay, Lori?
This is a continuation of what, back? This is a continuation of what Michael was saying, so I appreciated that. I was studying these maps very closely in the last few days, and I was enlarging things that I was not able to read before. And I noticed something that concerns me, and I'm just going to put this on the board because you may think it's addressed, but I'm concerned like Michael is. In the location of the houses, I think it's 32, the ones that are directly next to the infiltration basin at the top of the hill. Those, no, yes, those houses right there. So that's where there's a valley right now that does carry groundwater downhill toward the Govang's property. And the fill that's required to bring that up to the right level is 22 feet. 22 feet of fill. Yes, look at the map. It's what it, Danny, you're shaking your head. I looked at it. If you look at the elevation.
Lori, can you 1 second?
Yep.
Ken is going to clarify this because that's not correct.
Hang on a second.
The number that you anticipated for the fill, where did you get those numbers from?
If you look at the current topography map.
Versus the top of
The
concrete.
topography map and look at the small numbers.
Yep, this right there. So let me clarify.
Want me to do it? You want to do it?
These are top of concrete, which means the top of the foundation. Those are all walkout basements. So what you're comparing is 10 feet higher than what's actually the bottom of where the walkout basement is.
The number on
I'm
the
looking
house.
at the numbers that
Yes,
say
so
TOC.
that's top of concrete. These are all walkout basements. So basically what you're looking at is the first floor elevation of when they're walking into the building. The basement, the bottom of that's 10 feet, about 10 feet lower than that number.
Where's the soil gonna be for the house?
Underneath that, so 10 feet lower than that 321. So it's only gonna be, so that's, it's right there is 300, so it's like 10 feet.
You misunderstood the number on the house. I think you thought, I'm not sure what you thought actually, what that number represented, but it's the top of the concrete foundation.
Yeah.
So 10 feet below that roughly is the footings, and the walls are 8 feet high. So you're not filling all the way up to the first floor of the house.
So
You're filling half of that. So you've put out a number on your communication that's incorrect, and you've said it all over the place.
top of concrete at my house is about 2 feet maybe.
No.
From the ground.
No,
Not from the base, you're talking about from the basement?
You have a walkout?
these are walkouts. Is yours a walkout?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're talking about the front elevation. The back elevation is 10 feet lower than what that top of concrete is over here.
Okay, then it's 12 feet of fill?
No, it's 10 feet of fill.
Okay.
Either way, it's not 22 feet.
But that's the way it works is when fill's brought in, they have to compact it. There's compaction reports that they have to do for every foot that they go up. It's not just, they're just bringing in all sort of material, throwing it down, and it's all set. There's compaction reports that they have to submit, that they do. There's state laws that they have to follow for all that fill that gets brought in. And that's assuming that that some of those areas are going to be blasted as well. So all of this gets taken into account.
So the state law allows 10 feet of fill.
You can go
That's
higher than that.
pulverized rock, and that's acceptable.
Yeah, of course. I built a retaining wall that's 25 feet wide, high in Northborough.
So on top of that, Danny explained it. When they put that retaining wall in, those retaining walls behind the units, okay? First of all, the units are all equal to or higher than the street. Am I right, Ian? The units, the top of concrete is equal to or higher than the street elevation.
At least a foot higher.
Right, so typically those lots are gonna start pushing water forward, and then obviously some will be going off the back.
Yeah,
That's what the design shows.
The retaining walls, when you build that double level of retaining walls, in essence, aren't you building a dam of sorts that you're gonna compact and against, and you're gonna build the right materials, need a structural engineer to do it, he's gotta approve the whole thing. Every foundation will have the required method by the building inspector or a structural engineer to determine that it's sound and sits on the correct foundation and the correct material. And around, I think those retaining walls, in essence, will offset if it drains down. It's gotta weep through the retaining wall. It's like a dam, basically built right behind the units.
Does the retention wall go down into the ground?
It's gonna go way down, below the foundations.
Well, because the structural engineer has to design it.
So
It's gonna go below the foundation, so it will be like a dam. Okay. That's something I was not aware of. I don't know how you can read that on the map.
It's just general contractor stuff, like construction. If you're in the construction business, you know that. That's all. That's the reason you don't.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Rachel?
Hello, Rachel Kozera, Groton Harvard Road. I apologize if I didn't see it on the website already, but is there an updated site plan indicating where the snow storage will be? I know that it was modified from its original place, but
Yes.
I understand that that has something to do with the, the
Yeah. Let me
maintaining
just.
water.
it's clouded.
It's just this thing. Yeah. So you see these little areas. These are the snow storage areas.
Okay, all right, wonderful. Thank you so
And
much.
it says, "Do not pile snow here."
That's very nice. Thank you very much. And then I just had a follow-up question just because some of my neighbors are late to coming to meetings. But with regard to the stormwater mitigation, I guess in the processing all of everything that will happen, it seems like there's current conditions that are a bit sensitive. If there are storms that are, not predicted, they're really intense, and the folks that are taking care of the construction outside of 38 Groton Harvard Road, if it's a lot, how will everyone kind of I guess maintain the water, but also how will it be dealt with? It seems like you guys are on top of it right now, but it also seems like the current conditions haven't been measured due to, the parameters of, the permit. And you spoke about that before, but it just seems like, are you guys going to go out and see what's going on, or?
So current conditions have been met. It's measured based on how the AutoCAD does it with the watershed map, with the catchments areas. You're talking about during construction, right?
Yes, I would say, when you're modifying the current, the current space to, what you'd like it to be.
Yeah, so during construction. So, because existing, we know what existing is. Post, we know what it's gonna look like. During construction, that's where you're asking. As they're moving stuff, what happens when a storm hits? That's what a SWIP report's for. That's what the NIPD's permit is for. That's what our stormwater management permit is for. That's what inspections, they do SWIP reports weekly that we go out there and inspect, make sure that they're all being done and upkept. So if there is a storm, basically the basin will be the first thing that gets put in, so that handles, that's where the stormwater gets sent to. It handles as a temporary settling basin.
So you, okay, got you. I just saw there's construction equipment outside of the 38 Groton Harvard Road today. So I didn't quite know that, the different steps that were being taken just to mitigate the water, I guess, during construction.
Yeah, during construction, there's an extensive, and it gets reviewed by the EPA federal, there's a whole long process that they have to review, that they can't start construction until it gets approved by them.
Okay, alrighty. Thank you very much.
Are we done, or there's people?
No, so
Brian.
Brian.
Brian?
Yes,
Nope.
thanks for, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Thanks for recognizing me. Brian O'Neill, 47 Highland Avenue. This is going to be new, but it's picking up on something Ms. Yates said about the idea of the whole development sort of focusing the water in a way that wasn't true originally with the topology, and then something Michael Govang said. So this is not something the developer needs to address. I'm getting familiar with this idea of only needing to meet the law and so on. But for the town, and you know, we're talking with the board mostly, I just wanted to point out, you know, they would have to model, Danny, like you were focusing on water not leaving the project, but they would have to model specifically the water that was leaving the area in places where new impervious surfaces are.
Yep.
Like, for example, to the west.
Yes.
I think there's a downhill topology to the west towards central in existing conditions.
Yes.
To make
let me get
statements like the level of water in sort of like the Flynn's and the Yates property is not going to go up. So the HydroCAD modeling doesn't model like with respect to any point outside of the project, as it would not do, because that's not what's required by law. But Mr. Ruiz, you need to be careful saying like, Mr. Flynn said it's going to increase the water. And I think his statement is true. When you say, no, it's not, it's going to reduce it, you don't actually know that from the modeling done. I think that's something Michael Govang was trying to say.
For the
Focusing towards
hold on, for the Flynn's property, are you talking about?
Well, as of today, I'm learning it seems especially concerning the Flynn's property, actually, not necessarily the Govang or the Yates, but you know, I'm with all my townsfolk.
Well, because the stormwater report, that's what all the calculations are proving, is that you can't increase it any more than what's currently existing. So, and based on their report and based on the modeling and everything that we've seen, the peer review agrees and the town agrees that it's going to reduce. So I'm not speaking out of turn. I'm basing my comments on 3 engineers that I have before me.
Okay.
They're the ones who have the stamp, not me.
Yeah, but I guess you'd have to admit, like, the stamp is with regard to protecting the project and then not having an efflux of water.
I'm sorry.
No, the third party peer review has nothing to has no part in this project. They're independent. We hired them on behalf of the town to peer review their project.
No. Sorry, you misunderstand. So I mean, all of the HydroCAD modeling is to show that the houses aren't going to slide down the hill because of stormwater flooding and so on, and that the town won't be unduly burdened. Like I guess I would ask, like, if Mr. Rubin could comment on this. Like, when you say none of our water is going to go onto the Yates property, I assume you mean like a visible, like, surface water going over the crown of Groton Harvard Road or something to that effect, because that's what you would be liable for. But I think an increase in the groundwater, because I think it's absolutely true. It's untrue to say the groundwater level does not change. That was Adam C's comment. So Mr. Rubin, if you could comment on that.
I think it has to go through the chair.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Room, would you comment on that, please?
I wasn't too clear on what you were referring to. As
Well, just clarify your statement of none of the water from your project goes to Mrs. Yates' property. What exactly does that mean?
no runoff from the developed area on this project goes to the Yates property. And if you want me to point that out, let me point it out on can I point it out right there?
Yes, you may.
And I don't know if you can see this, but I'll show you something. All of this.
I cannot see it, but.
Yeah, okay. I mean, all of this water is collected and goes there. That's why that's a catchment. This water goes down here. When it comes here, it goes this way. All this water comes this way. All this water, all this water goes this way. It doesn't go there. All of this water bypasses that property. This ridge over here stops the water from going there. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, it's been a good discussion today, I will say, but I just wish the board could recognize there's a common thread between, I think, actually every townsperson's comments on this, that this feeling like we're not being addressed. It can't be addressed because that's not how the modeling is done, right? Like, it's not done with respect to
Brian,
a point
are you
outside of the project.
Brian, are you an engineer?
A
And I'm not trying to
scientist.
be rude here. I'm not trying to be rude here. You're talking about very technical stuff that even I don't fully understand, and my background is in civil engineering, and this is why we have experts. My question is, because you're speaking very definitively saying that, this doesn't do that, and that what we're doing can't address the concerns. Are you an engineer to be able to be
No.
speaking as very
Sorry.
definitive as you are?
No,
Okay.
Mr. Govang is, though, is my understanding, and I think this actually gets back.
Hold on.
You know what, this is.
Let's go, that's it.
Electrical engineer. Electrical engineer is not a civil engineer.
So,
Nothing against
do
that.
you have additional questions or comments, Brian?
No, I was just giving a compliment on the discussion being well, and then it went to like an argument from authority at the end.
It's not about authority. It's
Okay.
All right,
all right. I think
we're done.
Yeah, we've heard everyone.
No, I think,
well,
Rachel, we're done with the stormwater tonight. We're done. And she's already been up multiple times. We're moving on to the next agenda item.
I do apologize, and I understand it's late, but it's one of those things. So I apologize for speaking out.
There's no need for an apology, but there's a certain point where this discussion has to, the questions have been answered, and I feel like we're answering the same questions over and over and over.
and I understand the sensitivity for every abutter on this for these properties. I do. But we're at the point where we have to rely on what the professional engineer that was hired to do, and that that's what our responsibility is. At this point, we are relying on the professionals.
Yeah, we're done.
In our own experience.
We're moving to the next agenda item.
That are not being discussed, though. I wouldn't bring it up if it hadn't already been discussed before. So I respect my apologies.
Thank you. Project status update?
Well,
We gotta continue.
continue.
Oh, we need a continuance, right?
So for the next meeting, since this has been closed out, we've addressed all of those outstanding issues. At this point, I do not have anything else on the list that needs to be addressed. I think we are at the point where I can start working on a decision.
Yep.
Special conditions.
Agreed. Have a motion for a continuance, and what the next meeting is, the date is?
October 14th.
October 14th.
And I just want to read it, just so that everyone knows. As of once the process begins we go to the decision, and if that gets voted and approved, there is an appeal process for everyone that they can take. There's a 20-day appeal period that once it gets submitted with the town clerk, if a neighbor, an abutting neighbor wants to do an appeal on this, it's their legal right to do that.
Did you say just for abutters?
Anybody.
So, no. Butters any abutter within 300 feet has the legal right to appeal. If you're outside of the 300 feet, you need 10 residents to sign on with that appeal, legally.
I make a motion that we continue the hearing for 0 High Street and 38 Groton Harvard Road, Lincoln Hills, map 27, parcel 28, 30, 41, 65, 70, 189, site plan review, special permit, and inclusionary housing and stormwater permit to the October 14th planning board meeting.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ken?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Julie?
Yes.
Chair votes aye. We'll continue it to the 14th. All right, now we can talk about project status update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think there's anything pressing right now.
Great.
You have time for other projects?
Yeah, I know. There's nothing pressing right now on any other project currently.
Good.
At the next meeting, I'll bring up some other stuff that I think we need to discuss for some other projects. There's Stratton Hill and some other projects, but nothing that needs to be discussed now. I think we can just go to minutes.
I was gonna make a recommendation that the board set up a site visit for Stratton Hill. I would
Okay.
encourage the board to make a site visit so we see the construction process. and have an idea of, what's going in the ground. So if you could work together with the chairman.
Yeah.
Set up a date.
Yeah.
Set up a date.
Okay.
Just let us know if it works.
Yep, I'll individually reach out to everyone and see what availabilities
Typically
everyone
Thursday
has.
mornings have been good.
Yeah, but I also need to run this by the applicants just so that we make sure that
Absolutely.
it's safe-wise out there.
Well, that's important. I make a motion to approve the August 26, 25 minutes as amended and submitted to all of you yesterday or today.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Nathan?
Aye.
Julie?
I'm gonna abstain.
Oh, Ken?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Is that enough? We got three? Okay, great. Great, and motion to adjourn?
Second.
So moved.
Good night, everybody.